Man, the Democrat shields are mad. Roland Martin is unhinged, going after any and everybody who talks against his masters. He does not tolerate that at all. Unfortunately, with the receipts that we have of him now, he's losing every single fight that he starts.
The price of freedom is death. We're coming to get our check.
Family, welcome, families. Shout out to every single last one of you guys. I'm your brother Afro Lee. We're going to get stuff started. Hold on, let me get my glasses. Hold on, got those. Hold on for a second. Y'all in the chat room already clowning me, talk about I'm always late. That's true, I am. But I had to reset my computer to make sure we don't lag tonight because we got much to discuss. All right, we got much to discuss. All right, so I have a good reason this time. All right. But we have much to discuss this evening because the Democrat shield, Roland Martin. I mean, there's a lot of Democrat shields. Don't get me wrong. There's a lot. It's a whole bunch. It's a whole bunch of Democrat shields. But Roland Martin, the man built like a snowman. Okay. People call him roly-poly. People ask where his neck is all the time. Roland Martin sits on the throne of Democrat shields. Oh, yes. Ain't nobody. And when I say nobody, I do mean nobody. Nobody is challenging Roland Martin when it comes to the throne of the Democrat shields. Okay, he will fight any and everybody to make sure that his heir is there for him. Okay, that his throne is secured for him and him alone. Okay, Roland don't play about that. Now, you have other people who carry the water for the Democrat Party. We all know that, and we've discussed that for the longest time. And I will call a spade a spade. That's what we do here. We got to call a spade a spade. We also got to address the fact that Charlamagne, not going to lie to you, Charlamagne has carried the water for the Democratic Party for a long time, too. Let's not lie about it. Charlamagne has consistently, every single time the Democrats needed some help, Charlamagne has been there. We ain't gonna lie about that. Okay, we're not gonna play no games, not gonna exaggerate, not gonna do none of that. But the thing is that Charlamagne has now said some comments about the Democrats because he's not as shilling as Roland. Charlamagne has said some comments about the Democrats, and Roland, of course, anything that is not in complete obedience in worship of his masters triggers him. And we're going to discuss that this evening. But before we do that, what I would greatly appreciate y'all doing is hitting that like button. I would greatly appreciate y'all hitting that like button, hitting that subscribe button, and hitting the notification bell. Leave a comment, please, and thank you. I appreciate y'all. YouTube also has a thing. If you guys see in the chat room, if you're listening live, shout out to you. But if you're listening live, and to the people listening on playback, thank you guys. There's like a goal for the super chats. It's a new feature, so I just decided to test it out. So if you guys see that, that's what that's for. Like we have like 10 super chats or something. I just set it at that because that was the default thing. The amount can be anything. So I just, if you guys are wondering, that's what that's for. All right. So letting you guys know. So we might be able to reach our goal today. We'll see. But we'll have to see after we get back, after we discuss, after we establish the copyright disclaimer to establish to YouTube that everything we play thus forth is protected under the guise of fair use. Everything. All right. We'll be right back. Copyright disclaimer. Under Section 107 of the Copyright Act 1976, allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, and research. Fair use is a use permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. Nonprofit, educational, or personal use tips the balance in favor of fair use. Okay, so got to pull the clips up. It's going to be, all of this is going to be sped up. We're going to speed all of these things up. And also, we're not going to play the whole entire thing. But let me get to the first clip. Okay, let me get to the first clip of what was said. Okay. Between the Breakfast Club. Let me get to that. Breakfast Club. And this is what triggered Roland Martin. Now, before you guys do that, I need you guys to hit that like button. I'm waiting for this to pull up. I got a lot of clips and stuff like that, a lot of receipts. So I'm trying to make sure I get everything together when it comes to the shutdown. Hold on. No. Oh boy, what just happened? Okay. Think it's kind of tripping a little bit. Think it's kind of tripping. Okay. All right, here we go. Oh, okay, got it. Sorry, y'all. The thing lagged a little bit. Technical issues. It happens. It does. All right, here we go. Okay, it's coming up now. YouTube purposefully does this to embarrass me. I'm for certain of that. YouTube does this to embarrass me. But I am kind of for certain about that, but it's okay. They can't stop us. Lord, because it's taking a minute to come up. I'm like, geez, come on now. Next time I had a whole thing pulled up in the first place. Oh my God. Okay. There you guys go. There we go. So Roland Martin has to say this. Now I'm just going to play this and then he's going to establish what it is before. Okay. Let me get this off the screen. I don't know why. All right, here we go. Here we go.
Democrats, do me a favor. Do not listen to people like Charlamagne the God. Okay? So Charlamagne was talking about this government shutdown, and he made a comment as related to what Democrats should be doing. Y'all have that? Okay, play it.
I don't understand me and I don't know, maybe you can explain it to me that the healthcare is going to go up anyway because of the big bill that include credits to keep the cost down. So if it's going at the point to keep them still low.
At this point, you're right, because the premiums, which the open enrollment started this weekend, November 1st, and so people are getting those letters in the mail. In fact, one person in Utah, a woman in Utah, she told ABC News that she opened her bill and saw that her monthly premium had already jumped from about $400 a month, Charlamagne, to over $2,000 a month. And so at this point, it's like, what's going to happen? Is it retroactive? Like, how is this going to work as we continue to go forward? So you're absolutely right.
And the premiums are set for a year. So at this point, if the premiums have already gone up, if they set for a year, at least give the people some relief and get the government back open.
Do not listen to what the hell he just said. That to me is beyond idiotic, because this battle that we're seeing is not solely about healthcare. Rebecca, I don't know what the hell that was. That was just
okay. Let's stop that right there. We're gonna stop that right there. We're gonna break this down about the whole Democrat, because as of right now, as of today, the shutdown is over. Okay, the Democrats have ended the shutdown. The Democrats were the people holding it up, so you guys know. Now they had Jasmine Crockett out there. They had everybody out there pretty much saying it was the Republicans holding it up because they didn't want to compromise when it comes to Obamacare, the Affordable Care Act. They didn't want to compromise when it came to that. The thing is that what Biden did, we gotta hold everybody accountable for this, because what Biden did was when he was in office and he had the House and the Senate, Biden extended the Affordable Health Care Act, but he gave an expiration date to it. I'm being very brief with it because I want to get back to the main subject. Okay. The Democrats do not fix the health care issue. They don't do that for a reason. Actually, let me like fully get on the screen with you guys. The Democrats deliberately do not fix healthcare. They give subsidies and they give that to Obamacare. And there are people who can qualify for Medicaid and Medicare and Obamacare and all of these other cares, whatever you want to say. They do that because the party and the government, they all get money with the insurance companies. So it's really, and I'm probably going to have to explain this a little bit deeper on my next live, but it's really the Democrats playing a game and giving people, and somebody said this on TikTok, we had a TikTok live, it's like if you go to a grocery store and the food prices keep going up and somebody gives you a coupon for the food, right? Yeah, now you can afford your food, but that doesn't change or lower the price of the food. So the food prices will keep going up and going up and going up. And as long as you're getting your coupons, then you can afford the food. Follow me. But the thing is that coupons have an expiration date. Do you understand what I'm saying? And as the food keeps going up, the moment you don't get your coupons, you can't afford anything. So what the Democrats are actually not doing is making the food more affordable. Okay. Now, switch food out for healthcare. What the Democrats are doing is actually not making healthcare more affordable. They're just giving coupons for qualified people to allow them to pay for it. Okay. But they put time limits and they put restrictions on that. And now they're saying, well, the Republicans don't care about your health, which I'm not saying that they do, but clearly the Democrats don't either. That's the deceitful thing. And the Democrats have manipulated the shutdown because they shut it down. The Democrats have manipulated the shutdown and say, oh my God, you see, the Republicans don't want you to have food stamps. The Republicans don't want federal workers to be paid. The Republicans have shut the government. It was a total government shutdown and it was the Republicans' fault. That's what they said. But it was their fault. It was their fault. It was their doing. And they did it because they wanted people to be mad at the Republicans before the election to assure that they were going to get their seats. That's why they did it. For real, for real. And Charlamagne, even though he toes the line and he's still toeing the line, and we're going to call Charlamagne out a little bit, but Charlamagne said, hey, at this point in time, the shutdown is becoming dangerous. Because now you have people who work for airlines, because that's federal workers. Follow me. That's federal workers who work for the airlines in America not showing up to work. Do you understand how detrimental that is? Earlier this year, we were already having planes fall out the sky. Now we're having people who operate the towers not showing up because they can't afford to keep going to work if they're not getting paid. These people have children. They have families they got to go to. So they're spending 8, 12 hours at a job, and at the end of the week, they have $0 in their bank account or $0 on their paycheck. Oh, now you got to do something else because your kids don't care that the government is shut down. They're still going to be hungry. Your landlord still needs his money. The bills are still going to need their money, okay? Your car note, your car insurance, all of that stuff, they don't care that the government is shut down. So what that forces the employees to do is say, hey, I can't go to work. I have responsibilities. Let me ask y'all a question. And I want to get a yes or no. I want to get a yes or no. Okay. Would you actually, don't give me a yes or a no. If you guys would give me the house emoji, okay, if you guys would stay home if you guys are not getting paid. To me, I'm going to give you my thing. Just me. Let's connect personally. All of the jobs I worked, I had a lot of jobs. I have. Let me be honest, I have. All of the jobs I've worked, I've gotten paid. Every single job. If there was a second where one of my supervisors, bosses told me, hey, sorry, sir, we're not going to be able to pay you anymore. We still need you to come to work. I would stay home. I'm not showing up. If that's you, put the house emoji in the chat room. I just want to know how many people are aligned with that thought process. I'm not showing up to work. Okay? None of the jobs I've ever worked am I showing up, no matter how much I like them, like my coworkers, whatever. None of the jobs I've ever worked would I go to work if I'm not being paid at all. I don't care what happens. And I don't even have kids. I don't care. I wouldn't go to work, and neither would you guys, nor would a sensible person go to work when we all have responsibilities as adults, kids or no kids. You have responsibilities as adult. First off, and it's just not right if we're going to tell the truth about that. So you have the Democrats who are sacrificing the federal workers, the actual people. This is the party that claims to love the working class and the average working man and the poor people. And they're allowing people not to be paid because they're keeping the government shut down. Okay. And then that lasted and lasted and lasted and lasted. And then there came the threat of SNAP. SNAP was going to be gone. So now they're all like, okay, well, now SNAP's going to be gone. Now people going to be hungry. It's already people not getting paid. It's already people not going to work. It's already airlines being canceled and flights being canceled. The shutdown has become a complete disaster. A disaster. So to Charlamagne's point, I will say the Democrats should have conceded. Well, I mean, they did, but when he said it, they didn't at the time he said it. But to Charlamagne's point, yeah, give it up. Okay. Now his thing is he's going to give them, I guess, a pat on the back for trying. I'm not going to give them that much because I know they bogus in the first place. But they should have. But Roland did not like that at all. Roland thought that this was the perfect leverage to fight against the Republicans. And he said, damn the people. Damn the federal workers, the food stamps, all of them, forget about them. Don't care. The Democrats need to win. And he said that Charlamagne is an idiot for suggesting otherwise. That's what he's saying. Let's get back to the clip.
That was just bullshit.
Look, what I heard was an exchange of two people who don't understand how this works. So what they're talking about are the health insurance premiums that are in the marketplace. The marketplaces are the state exchanges. The state exchanges is because of Obamacare, aka the Affordable Care Act. Here's the thing. Those premiums are effective January 1, 2026. You get about 60 days notice in most states. Some states put out their new expected premiums back in October, some kind of at the end of September. But this is giving notice of, hey, if you continue at the level of health insurance plan that you have, this is what you're going to start to pay effective January 1. And so the erroneous, and I mean, this isn't just misinformation here. This starts to look like this is intentional disinformation. And for the audience, disinformation is where you have bad, misleading information that's intentionally targeted to a certain demographic. The demographic here is Black voters. The reason why is that Black voters are the base of the Democratic Party. Right now, the Democrats are in lockstep saying that, no, we're not going to give you the votes that you need in order to end this government shutdown. You Republicans need to come to us and work out a deal. And so by
let me pause that. Notice now, if the Democrats, if the black community is the base of the Democratic Party, if they are, which they said, and we know that's what the polls say, that's what the statistics say, that's what it is, that's a fact. Okay, if that's a fact, you mean to tell me you're going to make a sacrifice, and you're going to sacrifice and have your party, I want you to understand this, all ALL 100% of the Democrats who were going along with the shutdown, all of them knew that there was going to be people who would suffer because the government was shut down. 100% of them knew that, okay? And they allowed it to happen because they wanted subsidies included for the spending bill, for the budget. They're not doing this. I want you to keep this in mind. When has the Democrats, if that's the party, I'm asking a question, when have the Democrats done this for reparations? I'll wait. I'm waiting on their answer. You just agreed that Black voters are the Democrats' base. Are Black voters ready to do this? Shut the government down over reparations? Are they willing to make a stand and gridlock the Congress over reparations? Are they ready to do that? Some people saying never. I've never seen it. I don't think we ever will see it. All of these things, and y'all want to give the Democrats so much credit for fighting a good fight and fighting the Republicans. Notice they're fighting the Republicans on behalf of the citizens. Keep in mind, if y'all didn't know, they are getting paid. The entire shutdown, while there are federal workers who are not getting paid, while there are airplanes that are being canceled, people having to cancel and redo their flights, while SNAP was potentially going to get shut down, all of this stuff, and all of them were still being paid. All of them still being paid. We were the sacrifice for them. We were pawns in the chessboard for them. And we need to say that we need to agree with being pawns and sacrificial lambs so they can have a victory over the Republicans on behalf of Obamacare. Really? That's what they're saying. I don't think so. Now, if I'm gonna be honest, I'm just me. If they did this over reparations, I might be on board with it. I might say, hey, let's shut the government down. Let's do that then. If this was on behalf of reparations, then we can survive a little bit longer. Look, I would pay the federal workers. Look, the federal workers, listen, y'all gonna get y'all reparations check. Just hold out. We gonna have like how we did in the past. We gonna have rent parties. You know how Black folk used to have in the past. If you guys didn't know, where Black people used to, and I think this was in particular in New York, right? Where black people used to have parties so they can collectively raise rent to help black folk in the community raise their rent, or pay their rent rather. Okay, so they would have parties with food and merchandise and things that they can sell, and music acts and stuff like that. And they would throw parties, and the parties would really be charities for the community. So if somebody needed help, if they were behind on their rent, they could pay it, right? That's what we used to do, because we've always been a community and a culture that looks after each other. You know, it's always, we're all in this together. We've always been like that. We've been helping each other pay our rent. Okay, that's our history. If we got to go back to that, I'm with it. I would be 100% with it if this was for reparations. Yet, but this ain't for no black thing. They're willing to sacrifice people, black people in particular, over stuff that ain't got to do with black people. Even if it's Obamacare, that's not a black issue. That's an everybody issue. But you're not going to make the sacrifice for a black issue. I'm not with it. No, I'm not with it. I'm not with it. But let's continue.
To talk to black folks, so then black folks can then talk to Democratic members of the House and Democratic members of the Senate to get Democrats to back down. That's what Charlamagne is trying to do here. What should happen, if I was advising the Democratic Party, is tell them, hey, look, there's some Republicans who have introduced clean resolution plus extension of the health insurance credits, sorry, not health insurance credits, but some of the discounts that the government will pay, so people aren't paying those exorbitant health insurance prices starting January 1. So this is disinformation that we're seeing that Charlamagne is doing. This is not just mistaken information. This is intentional, going after black voters.
Niambi, the reason I think it's bad advice is because when you are in political battles, you maximize your leverage. And when you are fighting on behalf of people, they understand that there are people who are not getting benefits. They know there are federal workers who are not getting their paychecks as well. But they also are dealing with an administration that's been slashing and burning and firing people indiscriminately as well. So all this is wrapped up. So what you do not do is you do not capitulate. You do not back down. You don't go, oh, well, you know what? Hey, we're just going to go ahead and pack it in. No, you try to get as much as you can.
Well, absolutely. And this is why Wendy Williams' sidekick should not be trusted with political information. I've long had a beef with Charlamagne. So
now, before we get into this lady, Roland be having a bunch of nobody. I mean, we don't even know who these people. Roland just be pulling people off the street, apparently. Who are these people? Roland gets people that nobody has ever seen before. We didn't even know these people exist, but I'm not even trying to go there. But let me say this. Okay, if that's the case, if the Democratic Party, I want to ask y'all this. Do you guys remember when, because of ICE, the Democrats were saying that they were going to pay Latinos rent and bills because their family members being deported was a hardship? Do you guys remember them saying that in LA? That they were willing to pay the Hispanic families bills, rent and bills, because if the father or the parent of the household got deported, it would create a financial strain on the Hispanic family. Do y'all remember that? Now, are they going to do that for anybody else? It seems like they pull their own pocketbooks out and start writing personal checks when it comes to immigrants. Now, they're not offering any type of assistance, any type of special programs, nothing like that when it comes to foundational Black Americans. They're not doing that with us. They're paying their bills. And we're not getting paid. The Federal Foundation Black American federal workers are not getting paid. And they're telling us, hey, I mean, y'all just kind of got to just, tough it out. Deal with it. Y'all got to find a way. But those immigrants, they don't have to find a way. Well, I'll pay their bills. I'm not paying your bills. You're gonna have to find a way. You're going to have to pull yourselves up by your bootstraps. They don't have to pull themselves up by their bootstraps because I'm going to pay it for them. But they're not doing that to us. But they want us to be more patient with them and go along and sit on our hands and patiently wait for us to be sacrificed so they can get a victory over the Republican Party. I don't think so. Not me. I ain't going.
let's just stop there. But I will say this is the exact point. This is why people need to do what it is that they do well. And when you don't understand health insurance or politics, you don't do that. You do entertainment news. Because what this is about is the fact that Republicans say want those premiums to go up and want them to go up permanently. That's why we're in this shutdown fight. That's why it's protracted. It is not on Democrats to just say, well, we'll give up everything so we can just open the government. That's not going to do anything for people come January when those insurance premiums go into effect. And the reason that people have been able to enjoy healthcare through the Affordable Care Act exchanges has largely been because of this subsidizing. And we did it during COVID. We can continue doing it. Republicans don't want to do it because they want to transfer money to their wealthy donors in the wealthy class. That is the conversation. And if you're not having that conversation, then you're not being sincere. And you are certainly doing a disservice to the millions of listeners who come on that show. And this might be the only bit of political news they get. And some of those very same listeners are getting their insurance through these exchanges. So this is irresponsible at best. It's malfeasance at worst. And I think this is what burns me up about this kind of stuff, is because expertise has gone out the window. Good journalism has gone out the window.
Now, before she gets into that, notice how I want you guys to notice this, because this is going to be a thing. All of these things are like our training. We're like actually like intellectually training. Follow me. That's what we're doing right now. We're intellectually training, because in the midterms next year, coming up next year, we're going to see a lot of this, a lot of shilling, a lot of Democrats going at each other, Republicans going at each other. We're going to see a lot of this. Okay. Notice how the DNC, they keep framing this as, well, they want a budget cut so they can give money to their wealthy donors. They want to give money to their wealthy donors, which is not totally a lie, but that also happens on the exact opposite party. The Democrats also do the same thing. They got millionaire and billionaire donors as well too. You think Kamala raised all that money, over $1 billion, in less than 100 days from just the average Joe? No, she has billionaires in her pocket. The DNC got billionaires and millionaires and a whole bunch of people in their pocket. Yet the narrative is that the Democrats, and this is what Roland Martin and the rest of his shills on his show, this is what they do. The narrative is it's the Republicans who are the billionaire people, and the Democrats are the working class people. Although you're sacrificing the working class people. All of this talk about the working class people, and it was the Democrats who put the working class on the chopping block. Just keep that in mind. Just remember, it was the Democrats who put the working class, the federal workers, food stamps, all the airplanes, all of that on the chopping block. It was them who did that. Just keep that in mind while they talk about the working class and the rich and all that stuff.
In favor of entertainment. These are people's real lives. Charlamagne will be able to pay for insurance any day of the week. He is a wealthy man. But most people who have to rely on these exchanges will not be able to do the same if the Democrats cave in and give the Republicans what they want right now, which is to have those premiums go up and have them go up with permanently, essentially.
And when you are winning the argument, when you are controlling the narrative, Cameron, you don't just say, here you go. Take it away.
Mm-hmm. No, I mean, I think this is
now, we don't even got to get to this, dude. Now I want to fast forward, but before we do that, let me give a special shout out to my brother. Tell it like it is. He says, you know what's funny? It's funny how the people who are not doing the jobs they're elected to do still get their money. That's very fun. That's hilarious. That is true. And the people who have to show up to work are expected to go broke. That's hilarious. Because these people still getting paid. They not going to Congress. They're not having a vote. It was so many. I mean, and this went on for what, 2 months? Weeks on end. And you got people who are now weeks on end. I want you to understand, you've had people who've had to dip into their savings, who've had to borrow money, whether that's from a person, a family member, or from a bank or something like that. You got people who are behind on their bills now. I've seen cases where people had to apply to drive for Uber and DoorDash. I've seen people, federal workers, who go to work every day, they do their job, and they still are obligated to do their job because it's not like they can go on strike. You work for the federal government. It's a different thing. They can't go on strike. So they got to do their job 8 hours, 12 hours a day. And then they got to drive 2, 3 hours, 4 hours for Uber so they can have a little money because the 8 hours they spent at the job wasn't paying them. But they still have to do that. And it's a lot of people who said, hey, I can't do this. I'm sorry, I can't do this. And this is the strain that the Democrats were willing to sacrifice. And Roland is saying, hey, when the Democrats are winning, who cares about the people? Who cares? Who cares? Now, that lady was talking about, well, Charlamagne's going to be good. Charlamagne's good. Well, so was Roland. Think about that, though. Roland Martin is also going to be okay. Now, Roland Martin ain't got it like that. Let's be very honest with you. Roland Martin don't. Let me be real. Let me be 100% correct with you. Roland Martin don't have it like that. But Roland Martin don't got to worry about, I'm not getting paid this week. Roland Martin don't got to worry about, I'm not getting food stamps, because Roland Martin is eating. Roland Martin makes sure he gonna eat. Now, if Roland Martin wasn't eating, Roland Martin would be the first one knocking at the door. Hey, we got to get this government back open. Now, I'm hungry. If Krispy Kreme was a federal agency and Krispy Kreme got shut down, Roland Martin would be the first one going up there and saying, oh, hold on. Dave, this is too far. I love you guys. You know I do. I'm loyal to you guys, but hold on now. Y'all doing too much for me. I need it. I need my fix. Can we get some donuts in the chat room, family? For Roland Martin, who's kind of built like a donut. If you think about it, Roland Martin's kind of built like a donut. I think he is. But he's willing to sacrifice us, the people. Now, I don't work for the federal government, but when I say the people, I mean the people. Okay? He's willing to do that because he feels like as long as the Democrats win, who cares about you guys? Plus, he wants to get into a beef, and Roland Martin does that. Roland Martin really tries to get into beefs with people who are more relevant than him, so he can get his name out there as well too. Which is why you beefing with people. You don't ever see people starting anything with Roland. Just keep that in mind. You only see Roland starting with other people. Just keep that in mind. That it's only Roland. All of the beefs that Roland has gotten in, it's only been Roland saying something. Roland starts all of it. Just keep that in mind. But let's get to Charlamagne's response. All right. Hold on. Let me make sure I do this. Get a little protection under.
It's time for Donkey of the Day. I ain't trying to be Donkey of the Day no more.
They should be embarrassed by what they already did. I'm not making these people do these things.
Called Donkey of the Day, and it really caught me off guard. Damn, Charlamagne, who got the Donkey of the Day?
The show Roland Martin Unfiltered on YouTube. Oh, and let's not forget, he is a Democrat dancing machine. Oh, Roland will cut a rug for the Democrats, you hear me? Okay, he loves dancing for Democrats so much that he won't even go to the right when the Tootsie Roll is playing. Okay, it's all to the left for Roland, and that's fine. Okay, respecting him and his political allegiance with Democrats. So it wasn't a surprise to me that Roland had an opinion on my opinion of this current government shutdown, because I feel like Democrats, even though they put up a great fight, it was a valiant effort in regards to healthcare. It was a fight they couldn't win right now. Okay, keyword right.
Okay, let me get to the point where he talks about Roland being a dancing machine. That's very interesting because he is. Let's pull up the receipts. I mean, I'll call people right when they right. When I call it right. When they right, they right. And Roland was right. I mean, this man was sitting up there tap dancing, literally, quite literally. I had to turn the music off, but this was him and Hillary. And he want to call somebody else an idiot. We're letting this man right here. And is it me? Has Roland gotten bigger? I mean, Roland's never really been the picture of health and the picture of fitness. He's never been the image of that. No man has inspired to work out harder because they saw Roland Martin on a magazine. Okay. None of the ladies have ever been like, oh my God, Roland. Oh my, I wish I saw him in person. Roland don't make women feel like Usher make women feel. Roland don't do that. But has Roland, I mean, look at this. Look at it. I mean, he moving a little bit. A little bit. It's not really.
That's how I told y'all need to
moving a little bit. But then look at this. I mean, if ain't skipping no meals was a person, the dude looked 9 months pregnant in this picture. And I'm not, why am I going there? I'm being petty, y'all. I don't even need to be going there. Let me not do that. But Roland's gotten bigger, if you can imagine that. But let's get back to Charlamagne's thing, because we're going to be talking about Roland's weight all the time. Let's get back to it, okay?
Right now. So open the government back up because people are out here suffering. Roland didn't like that. Okay, he posted this video with the headline, Beyond Idiotic, Roland tears down Charlamagne's Shutdown misinformation. That's the word that got my attention, misinformation. What did I say I was misinformation? Well, let's listen to Roland Martin.
Do me a favor. Do not listen to people like Charlamagne the God, okay? So Charlamagne was talking about this government shutdown, and he made a comment as relate to what Democrats should be doing. Y'all have that?
You know what I don't understand, Mimi, and I don't know, maybe you can explain it to me. That the healthcare is going to go up anyway because of the big, beautiful bill, because that didn't include the extension of the tax credits to keep the cost down. So if it's going up anyway, what's the point of Democrats taking the stand to keep the government still closed?
At this point, you're right, because the premiums, which the open enrollment started this weekend, November 1st, and so people are getting those letters in the mail. In fact, one person in Utah, a woman in Utah, she told ABC News that she opened her bill and saw that her monthly premium had already jumped from about $400 a month, Charlamagne, to over $2,000 a month. And so at this point, it's like, what's going to happen? Is it retroactive? Like, how is this going to work as we continue to go forward? So you're absolutely right.
And the premiums are set for a year. So at this point, if the premiums have already gone up, if they set for a year, at least give the people some relief and get the government back open. Man.
Do not listen to what the hell he just said. That to me.
Let me highlight that. If her bill was what, $200 a month, I want y'all to think about that. $200 a month, and it shot up to what, 4,000, 2,000, something like that. If it shot up that much, that just highlights exactly how expensive and outrageously unaffordable healthcare in America is. And to be honest, that should be a crisis that both the parties look at and say, hey, healthcare is way too expensive, because there are people who don't qualify for Obamacare or Medicare or whatever have you. So what are they supposed to do? If it shot up that much, that means that Obamacare was a crutch for them. So if that's the case, it just really highlights how outrageously expensive healthcare is in general. And the fact that healthcare as it stands is growing and is becoming more expensive. The Democrats are not trying to lower healthcare and make healthcare more affordable. Let me be crystal clear. They're not doing that. They're just giving you coupons so you can afford it. And as long as you can afford your coupons, which they do because they get money from the insurance companies, and they give you the coupon, and then you can get your health care, and it keeps citizens reliant on Obamacare, and it keeps citizens also reliant on the Democrat Party. Because without the Democrats, they're not going to have Obamacare. And without Obamacare, the average person cannot afford crazy insurance or crazy health care like that. They're going to have to cut it. So it's very nefarious the way they're doing that. Very, very nefarious and unscrupulous and immoral the way they're doing that.
It's beyond idiotic because this battle that we're seeing is not.
I've already gone up. Bill, or as Jasmine Crockett called it, the big ugly bill. When that bipartisan spending package Republicans forced through, when that was passed, Democrats failed to extend the ACA premium subsidies that were originally expanded under the American Rescue Plan and Inflation Reduction Act. Okay, without those tax credits, ACA or Obamacare premiums increase automatically, and they're already locked in for 2025 since insurers file and finalize their rates months ahead. So if healthcare premiums have already gone up and are fixed for a year, then keeping the government closed to fight for lower premiums makes no sense to me, especially when on top of high healthcare prices, so many people are suffering right now because of the government shutdown. And that's what I care about, the people. Okay, that's why I said what I said, because of the people who are being hurt by this. Federal workers who haven't been paid in 40 days, they past due on rent right now, can't pay for child care right now. Hell, they can't pay for the health insurance they do have because they don't have any money coming in. Not to mention people not getting SNAP benefits. So how is what I said some BS? How was that misinformation? Once again, Roland, if you would have said I disagree with Charlamagne, Democrats should fight and not vote to reopen the government until some concessions are made on healthcare, cool, I would understand that. It's fair. But to say it's some BS and label it as misinformation, that's just a lie. And you did that on purpose. That was intentional to discredit me in the Breakfast Club, but we'll get back to that. He even had a sister by the name of Rebecca Carruthers come in and double down on the lie that we spread misinformation and accuse me of all types of treachery. Let's listen.
Look, what I heard was an exchange of two people who don't understand how this works. So what they're talking about are the health insurance premiums that are in the marketplace. The marketplaces are the state exchanges. The state exchanges is because of Obamacare, aka the Affordable Care Act. Here's the thing, those premiums are effective January 1, 2026. You get about 60 days notice in most states. Some states put out their new expected premiums back in October, some kind of at the end of September. But this is giving notice of, hey, if you continue at the level of health insurance plan that you have, this is what you're going to start to pay effective January 1. And so the erroneous, I mean, this isn't just misinformation here. This starts to look like this is intentional disinformation. And for the audience, disinformation is where you have bad, misleading information that's intentionally targeted to a certain demographic. The demographic here is Black voters. The reason why is that Black voters are the base of the Democratic Party. Right now, the Democrats are in lockstep saying that, no, we're not going to give you the votes that you need in order to end this government shutdown. You Republicans need to come to us and work out a deal. And so by trying to talk to Black folks, so then Black folks can then talk to Democratic members of the House and Democratic members of the Senate to get Democrats to back down. That's what Charlamagne is trying to do here. So this is disinformation that we're seeing that Charlamagne is doing. This is not just mistaken information. This is intentional, going after Black voters.
Rebecca, I don't even know what you were trying to imply.
Now, before we get that, notice how Roland and his crew, it's all Black voters, Black voters. This is not about party allegiance. No, it's about the Black community. And it's about Black voters. And what they do is always in the best interest of Black voters. They're willing to sacrifice people, including Black people, for the benefit of Black people, is what they say. All right. Now, you're calling what Charlamagne did nefarious and spewing misinformation. But the thing is that Roland's been doing that for the longest time. Roland, literally, I showed you guys a video where Roland was dancing. He was literally dancing for the Democrats, okay? Roland, when it comes to the Black community, Roland uses his platform as a voice multiplier for the Democrat Party, okay? Roland has consistently done that and dissed any and everybody who pushes back against that. When we talked about we're not going to vote without tangibles, no vote, or AKA voting for the couch. Here's what Roland had to say. We got the receipts now. We're going to play the receipts. No.
No.
The receipts here.
Sit elect.
Remember, this is what Roland had to say about voting for the couch, because we said, as foundational Black Americans, we're not going to be ignored anymore, and we're not going to give you all our vote for free. Because you guys don't ask anybody else to give you guys their vote for free. So we're not going to give you guys our vote for free. And this is what Roland had to say, remember?
Nola, when you sit
with a big Black Lives Matter shirt on. Okay, let's continue.
Elections out, you get what you get. And for the people who go, oh my God, I didn't think it was going to go this far. I mean, again, you can't say they didn't tell you. They said it. We warned people. Yeah, y'all shilling. Y'all shilling. Yeah, y'all know who y'all are. Y'all know. If I had to do a roll call of all them Simple Simon Negroes, yeah. If I had to, don't get me started. I could run the tables on Vicky Dillon, Boyce Watkins, Tariq Nasheed, Umar Johnson, Philip Scott. Oh yeah, Black Authority. All y'all. Look at them, they shilling. Look at them, they shilling for the Democrats. They just shield. They shield. Yeah, look at y'all just shit. But ask Breonna Taylor, mama, how she feel today. Ask Tamika Mallory and the folks at Until Freedom who literally moved to Louisville, fighting 5 years trying to make this thing happen. Folk who invested time and energy, got COVID, folks were sick and all that sort of stuff. But we listened to a whole bunch of folk, Nola, Yeah, y'all just chilling. Y'all out there, y'all supporting Kamala. She ain't doing nothing. We ain't backing her with. Oh, they were all running their mouths. But it's amazing how silent they are today.
Oh, does this sound like he's doing this for the people, or does this sound like he's doing this for the party? Does this sound like his allegiance is to the black community, or does it sound like his allegiance is to the Republican Party? Because he's never pushed back against the Republican Party. When it comes to voting for the couch, he will diss voting for the couch. When it comes to the black youth, he will sit up there and diss the black youth.
I just want to say your frat brother, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., was 26 years old when he...
I did a whole video of this on my show.
Oh, he got a pin out. This about to be good.
No. I had it. So this is what I need. This is what I need. I need everybody who's listening, who's watching to truly understand this. Gen X, millennials, and Gen Z. This is the generations that are what I call post-civil rights movement babies. Those three generations have been making withdrawals from the Black Bank of Justice and have not made reciprocal deposits. Now follow me.
Say it again. Say it again.
Now follow me. I'm not going to talk about the federal laws. I need people to really understand what I'm talking about. The reason we're where we are today, because there was a generation of black people, baby boomers, who went to the city council meetings, went to the school board meetings, went to the county commissioners meetings, sued to get single member districts, created the MWBE programs. That generation did the groundwork, not in Washington, D.C., but in cities across the country, in neighborhoods across the country. They fought for funding of our parks, repavement of our streets. My parents never went to college, but they were co-founders of the Clinton Park Civic Club. So I witnessed this at the age of 9 all the way through.
Now, pay close attention to what he just said. What did he say? Gen Z, millennials, and what else did he say? Gen X as well too. He said, we have been making withdrawals. We've been taking out and we ain't been putting back in. It's only been the boomers. The boomers alone have been carrying the black community, is what he's saying. That's essentially what he's saying. It's been the boomers who've been carrying that. And what we've been doing is we've been sitting up there eating off of their work and their sacrifice. And we have not made no sacrifices at all. They've been going and sitting at city council meetings. They've been doing all of this and all of that. Okay. So if we haven't been doing anything at all, you would think, follow me, you would think that Roland Martin would be supportive if we did decide to do something, wouldn't you? If he feels like all we do is take, and we don't ever put anything back, you would think that maybe if we decided to have a reparations rally, Roland Martin would be in support of that. You would think, because if all we do is take, then when we have a reparations rally, Roland would be 100% supportive of that. You would think, but this is Roland's response when we had our reparations rally, the first one.
Running down the line, folks. All of those things are going to happen. So if y'all think I'm joking, if y'all saying, there, Roland go trying to scare us, there he go fear-mongering. Oh, and let me go ahead and say, y'all can go to that little reparations rally on Saturday, November 5th. Y'all ain't getting nothing, not even H.R. 40, if they control the House and the Senate. Zero. You ain't getting H.R. 39, 40, 41, 42, 45. You can rewrite it all day. You can have Darity. You can have Yvette, Antonio. They can do whatever they want. You will get nothing. Because not one Republican even remotely supports reparations. Then what y'all gonna tweet about?
Oh Lord, I paused it. Look, he bucking his eyes when I paused it. He bucking his eyes when I paused it. That is crazy. Look at that. He said, y'all won't get nothing. Nothing. You see the way he emphasized it when he said it. He put that in that. He said, y'all won't get nothing because Republicans are the ones who don't support reparations. But every time he says that, and every time I keep going back to this clip right here.
The reality also is this: any policy that will benefit Black people will benefit all of society. Let's be clear about that. Let's really be clear about that. So I'm not going to sit here and say I'm going to do something that's only going to benefit Black people. No.
Oh, hold on. What'd she say? Hold on. What was that? What was that? What was that?
It's going to benefit Black people. And that's only going to benefit. Say I'm going to do something that's only going to benefit Black people. No. I'll sit here and say I'm going to do something that's only going to benefit Black people. No. So I'm not going to sit here and say I'm going to do something that's only going to benefit Black people. No.
Oh, no. Oh, so the answer is no. So
And
Roland,
lastly, you ain't getting
Roland, what are you talking about? Lord, every time I pause, this dude. So what are you talking about? Well, the Republicans don't support reparations because I'm not seeing a Democrat who does. And it's interesting how he says the millennials, Gen X, Gen Z, we're not putting in the work. We're not doing what needs to be done. But what you really mean is we're not voting blindly the way the boomers have done. That's what you really want to say. Because you don't care about any work that doesn't have to do with voting. Roland has proven that. Roland has proven any quote unquote work that doesn't align with the interest of the Democrat Party, Roland does not approve of. It doesn't matter how good it is. We had a whole this was a grassroots reparations rally. A whole reparations rally formed and funded by the grassroots, FBA 100%. And Roland pushed back against that. Now, Roland is a tether, so of course we know he's going to push back against it. But he pushed back against it because he's a tether who's loyal to the Democrat Party. So when he talks about work, he means aligning yourself with the Democrat agenda and being on the Democrat plantation. And we ain't going for that. We're just not. We're not going for it. Can we get the couch emoji in the chat room? Because we established that there. We established, hey, we ain't voting for nobody just because all of that gaslighting that they used to do of your ancestors died for you to have the right to vote. So that means you got to vote for the Democrats. We don't go with that. We don't do that. Let me get to the super chats before we get started. Okay. Because we've been cooking, y'all. Let me get to Marcus. Marcus says, sorry about that. Marcus says Dems have been on their backs with their legs high since the elections. Yeah, that's true. And that's true. He ain't lying about that. He says the only ones winning are the politicians now. That's true. All money in, no money out. That's true. And thank you very much for that. That's a good comment. Thank you for that. Dakota Jenkins says this is nothing more than a spat between Democrat shills. That's true. Because we got receipts on Roland, but we got receipts on Charlamagne too. So we're gonna show it. We ain't buying for no shields. So we're gonna show the receipts here. It says the stance of FBA remains the same. No tangibles, no vote. Fear mongering isn't working. It's not. No matter what platform, whether that's Roland Martin or the Democrat shills. Okay. Darlene, thank you very much, Darlene. I appreciate you. And then Jazzy says Obamacare was designed to put money in the Dems' pockets by paying the insurance companies directly, while Americans pay the insurance premiums, although they already have our tax money. That's true. And this is why healthcare is so crazy right now, which is why you might pay $200 a month. That would just be the premium. Now you got to pay thousands of dollars without Obamacare. That just shows how crazy and outrageous healthcare is. And the Democrats are not doing anything to solve that and make it more affordable for people. All right. They're just giving you the coupon or the discount rather. They're giving you that and making people reliant on Obamacare as they're getting money. All of them are getting paid, y'all. They're all getting paid. Let me get to the Dakota Jenkins. He says, tether care is a scam and Roland Martin looks like looks like sip weight gain through a straw. He did yeah, Roland Martin just is, boy, he blow up. It says he did. Okay, Blacklight Drew, he says we will get reparations before he gets enrolled in a Weight Watchers program. I don't think he ever is going to get enrolled in a Weight Watchers program. I mean, at this point, I mean, it looks like Roland Martin would probably travel faster if he laid on his stomach and started rolling to his destination. I think his parents were on the money when they named him Rolling Martin. I think so. I think if Roland laid on his stomach and just rolled like a bowling ball to wherever he wanted to go, he would probably get there faster than walking, driving, flying. He probably would get there in an instant because that's how heavy he is and gravity pulling him to wherever he wants to go. Let's continue with Charlamagne's thing because I got some things to say about Charlamagne as well. He ain't off the hook. So let me get to his thing as well, too.
Okay, you repeated what myself and Mimi just said. You just didn't oversimplify it like I did. But I still don't understand how that leads into you saying I'm intentionally giving out misinformation to black voters. What is the misinformation? I'm also not trying to discourage anyone from voting in midterms, even though I know we are going to have to fight to have free and fair elections in the midterms. But that's a whole other conversation. But you, Rebecca, sound like you are trying to make me out to be controlled opposition. Let the record show I don't get paid by any political party. I've never taken money from a political candidate for anything. Can Roland Martin say the same? Again, what did I...
Damn. Can Roland Martin say the same? And the fact of the matter is, no, Roland, you can't. See, Roland, you don't know how bad what you did was. Now, we know you've been a shield for the longest time. This is something that we know. This is not new or anything like that. This is common knowledge, really. But Roland, why is my thing froze like that? Hold on for 1 second, y'all. Hold on. Roland doesn't understand that his shilling has gotten so bad to the point where, Roland, now you can't say anything about anybody ever. Roland, you will forever not be able to criticize anybody because the receipts are out on you. At the very least, the receipts are not out on everybody else like they are on you, but the receipts are out on you in particular. And Roland, there's nothing you can do about that. You just got to eat the bullet every single time. I cannot scroll down with this thing. I can't get to my other image cues. That's kind of messed up right now. I don't know why they're doing that to me. Oh, wow. Okay, StreamYard is going through some technical issues, but we're going to deal with it because Roland was getting paid. And Roland, when he got paid, remember Roland admitting this? This has been, I don't understand why anybody still listens to Roland after it was exposed that Roland got paid. It was exposed that Roland got paid, and this was his response to it.
So you got some black folks out here who now are questioning why he gets the money. Because we have a network that reaches millions of people. If I check right now, the YouTube dash.
Hold on, can y'all see that? Hold on, what's going on with my thing? Hold on. I don't know why it wasn't coming up. It wasn't coming up. Hold on.
Sport. In the last 28 days, we will have generated 30 million views on YouTube alone. Y'all do know ads run on Joe Rogan's podcast, right? You do know Spotify sells advertising. In fact, maybe, and I'm gonna get back to this one in a second, but I just want to show y'all something here. Because I don't think people really understand what the hell they talking about, and that's primarily it's because they know nothing about this world that we're living in. How many of y'all are aware? How many of y'all are aware that the entire media ecosystem is built on advertising? Let me say this again. The entire media ecosystem is built on advertising.
Well, no. I'm gonna be honest. No. Because you can have a media network and not get paid by a political campaign. Let's be very clear with you. If Harris, if Kamala Harris is directly paying you, you can't say, well, that's just advertisement. No, because we don't have Kamala Harris paying us. Kamala ain't paid me, nor has Donald Trump, nor has any politician for that matter, or anybody I've ever interviewed. Have I charged anything? I've never done anything to do I've never charged anybody to put them on or anything like that. Okay. Now, if we do get funding, that's the funding from the grassroots, but we've not gotten paid. It's not been on that type of time, but it's on that type of time for you. So that means that you're doing this because you want a job with them. You're doing this because you are trying to help her get elected. It's not advertisement. She didn't pay you for advertisement. She paid you for the interview. The notorious interview that didn't get her anywhere. And after that, even if you take advertising dollars, let me ask you one question though. Did you also take advertising dollars from Donald Trump? Did you also take Donald Trump's money? No, you didn't. So if you're going to take advertising, let's say that for the time being, if you're going to take advertising dollars from only one party, and you're also going to advertise and endorse and promote one party, that makes you dependent on that party because you are getting paid, whether it was advertising dollars like he says, or whether it was dollars from the interview, which we all know. Either way, you're a paid Democrat shill. Either way, it doesn't matter. Oh, it's advertising dollars in the whole media ecosystem where y'all don't understand is the whole media ecosystem gets paid. I've been doing this for years, not as long as you, but I ain't getting paid from no political party. All of the people with integrity, we're not getting paid from a political party. And we've had politicians on the program before, and we ain't charged them a dime. We not getting paid under the table. None of us. And here's the biggest part about it. We don't want to. We don't want to, because that would compromise us. If I do an interview, if I have a political candidate on and I'm getting money from the political candidate, it compromises me. No wonder when Kamala was on your thing, Roland, you didn't push back against her. Roland didn't push back at all against her. He actually shielded for her the entire time, trying to help her look good, trying to help her rebrand herself for the Black community. It wasn't even no real interview. Remember that janky interview? This is what Roland had to say about reparations when he was quote unquote interviewing her. I need StreamYard to get together.
I'll try it.
Let's get right to it. So right before I walked out there, someone posted a clip, and usually this, the clip, I'm not going to sit here and say I don't do anything specifically for African Americans. But folk don't talk about what you said right before when you said that public policy that benefits Black folks, it benefits everybody else. Right. Even when we look at historically, Civil Rights Act, Voting Rights Act, it actually did just impact African Americans, it impacted everyone else. But talk about that, because so many people have only clipped that one part without understanding the public policy implications.
That's too bad. I'm sorry to hear that. You're right. So you know that I mean, going back even before, but Dr. King was very clear, right? If you have certain policies that recognize one, then not everybody starts out on the same page.
And look at her. Boy, this is so just nefarious and twisted. Look at her, in order to save herself for telling us she's not going to do anything specifically for us, she's going to mention Dr. King. She feels like, well, hold on. If I mention Dr. King and I say, well, my agenda is alignment with what he said, Dr. King was talking about us going to Washington to get our check. And Kamala said she's not doing anything specifically for us. How dare you even mention Dr. King's name? As if what you're doing or anything you ever have done has ever been in alignment with Dr. King.
If you have public policy, and I'm talking about economic public policy specifically at this point, but if you have public policy that recognizes historical barriers and what we need to do then to overcome, first speak truth about them and then overcome them, that in the process of doing that, not only are you directly dealing with the injustices and the legal and procedural barriers that have been focused on Black folks, but by eliminating those barriers, everyone actually benefits, right? And I know that to be true. So my policies include what I know is going to have a profound impact on Black folks around economic policy, but everyone will benefit from them. I intend to create, as president, what I have named an opportunity economy that taps into the ambitions and the aspirations and the dreams of the American people.
Okay, yeah. if that's the case, why are you doing things for other groups of people? Because that should be, if that is the case, which we know it's not, if that is the case, why would you specifically do things for other groups of people? Now, Roland didn't push back against that. Roland just sat there and nodded his big fat head. Roland didn't push back against that at all. Just remember that. If that's the case, if this is really how she views politics of solving the quote unquote disparities, why is she not saying that when it comes to the Hispanic community? Well, I'm going to just solve the disparities that you guys have to go through. And if I focus on the specific disparities, then that focuses on everything. I'm not going to sit here and say I'm going to do something that only benefits the Hispanic community. No, she didn't say that. She's not saying that. Okay. So why, when it comes to black folk, is, well, everybody got to benefit. And let me see if I can find this clip of her saying that. Of her, hold on. Let me find this clip. It's an older clip. Hold on. I'm getting this for everybody because I got a lot of receipts on it for you guys. Hold on. Let me, Let me see. The Hispanic community. Okay. Yeah, it's going to take me a little bit of time to get that clip. I'm not going to keep you guys. Okay. Oh, this clip right here. When she talks about the black agenda, she talks about the black agenda that was supposed to be for us specifically, but the black agenda was actually really for everybody. The black agenda wasn't for black folk in particular. The black agenda was literally for everybody. So everybody gets everything. This is also what she had to say about reparations as well, too. Okay. On the Shade Room or on the Breakfast Club.
First of all, on the point of reparations, it has to be studied. There's no question about that. And I've been very clear about that position. In terms of my immediate plan, I will tell you a few of the following. One, as it relates to the economy, which is a lot of what you have addressed. Look, I grew up in the middle class. My mother, worked hard, raised me and my sister. And by the time I was in high school, she was able to afford our first home. I know what it means for an individual and a family to have home ownership. I also know, in the context of history, nobody got 40 acres and a mule. We have a history of a number of things, including redlining. Detroit knows it well. A history of, for example, something that still exists that I've worked on to address, which is racial bias in home appraisals. And we know home ownership is, black families are 40% less likely to be homeowners than others. And that home ownership is one of the surest ways to build intergenerational wealth. Right? Because when you own a home, that's when, if your child says, Daddy, I want to go to college, you can say, sweetheart, don't have to take out a loan. I'll take some equity out of the house. Or if your child says, I want to start a small business, same point, right? So my plan includes making sure that for first-time home buyers, they have a $25,000 down payment assistance to just get their foot in the door. Because we know folks will work hard, they'll save, and pay that monthly mortgage. Second point is to bring down.
Okay. Now, let me stop that right there. Okay, so all of this stuff is universal policy. This stuff is not in particular for us at all. All of this stuff is universal, and everybody benefits from that. Now, when it comes to other communities, everybody doesn't have to benefit. It can specifically be Hispanics who benefit. Okay, let me pull this up real quick for you guys. I'll tell you, look, when it comes to receipts, I got it like that. Even if it take me a little bit of time to find it, I will find it and I will show it to you guys. Now, remember, she said, we got to focus on the particular disparities. Oh my God, why did that happen? Hold on. We have to focus on the disparities, is what she said. But when it comes to Hispanics, this is what she has to say about doing things specifically for the Hispanic community. Now, computer, you need to not do that. Hold on, it's taking a little bit of time. Come on, computer, don't do that to me. Don't take too long to load up. We're trying to go fast pace here. Hold on. But yeah, when it comes to the Hispanic community, she's literally saying she gave a laundry list of things that she's going to do specifically and exclusively for the Hispanic community.
On January 20th,
all right, here it is.
2021. if you are president, what specifically would you do with the thousands of people who try to reach the United States every day and want a better life through asylum?
Immediately on January 20th of 2021, I will, first of all, we cannot forget our DACA recipients, and so I'm going to start there. I will immediately, by executive action, reinstate DACA status and DACA protection to those young people. I will further extend protection for deferral of deportation for their parents and for veterans who we have so many who are undocumented and have served our country and fought for our democracy. I will also immediately put in place a meaningful process for reviewing the cases for asylum. I will release children from cages. I will get rid of the private detention centers. And I will ensure that this microphone that the President of the United States holds in her hand is used in a way that is about reflecting the values of our country.
Oh, okay.
The reality also is this: any policy that will benefit Black people will benefit all of society. Let's be clear about that. Let's really be clear about that. So I'm not going to sit here and say I'm going to do something that's only going to benefit Black people. No.
Y'all see that? Y'all see that? And this is who Roland Martin was caping for. Roland Martin was sad. Roland was like kind of depressed. People put Roland on a watch. I can't say the word, but the specific watch that you get put on when you might be a little sad and you might want to hurt yourself. Roland was on that. Roland was in tears, crying.
When you look at states like New York, New Jersey.
Look at his face. This was Roland after she lost. Roland was personally invested. He wanted her to win. He wanted that job so bad. He wanted to use that interview as leverage, like, hey, Mammy, I got you in. Please let me in the White House. Please, I need a job. I need steady income, please. My diet takes up a big bill. I need something. Please give me some benefits or something, please. Look at his face. And this is over the election. Roland was depressed over someone who literally said she was not going to do anything for Black people. But she proudly boasted about the long laundry list of things she would do for the Hispanic community. She proudly boasted about very specific things she would do exclusively for them. Just keep that in mind. Let's get back to Charlamagne, because we got some things we got to call Charlamagne out for as well, too. We're not going to sit up there and let Charlamagne slide because he be tap dancing. If we're going to get on tap dances, Charlamagne, we got to get on you. We ain't going to let you slide like that because that's the pot calling the kettle black if I ever seen that. We ain't going to let you slide, dude, because come on now. Charlamagne, you be carrying the same. Why is it looking like that? Why'd that happen?
I say that was misinformation. Okay, everything I said is actual and factual in regards to what's in the big beautiful bill. If you disagree with me saying Democrats should vote to reopen the government, once again, that is fair. If you believe me saying I think Democrats have lost is wrong, I understand that too. But that's my opinion, not misinformation. You want to know why I think Democrats have already lost? I'll tell you my position. One, because the Trump administration practices authoritarian strategy, and they don't give a damn about working class people, and they damn sure don't care about the poor. Number two, Republicans are scared to death of that administration, and they have zero reason to make any concessions. They already have everything they want in the big deadly bill. Okay, massive tax cuts stay. ACA subsidy extensions didn't make it in. Deep cuts to Medicaid and social programs already in there. They have zero reason to play ball. Roland knows this, but he would rather sell y'all false hope instead of telling you the truth. Roland knows most of these Republicans have made careers running against Obamacare. They can't go back now, even if it kills them in the midterms. And a lot of people I've spoken to in government, Democrats, by the way, feel like that's why pinning a shutdown strategy around this issue was foolish to begin with. Okay. And a lot of them told me they knew they weren't going to get anything out of this except maybe the promise of a vote on the Senate floor that will ultimately fail. That's why I said last week Democrats lost. Okay. As you can see, that seems to be the case because they reached a tentative agreement yesterday that does not include an extension of the ACA subsidies. And you know who will be one of the first people out here fake dragging Democrats for YouTube views because of that? Roland Martin. even though he knew that was going to be the obvious political outcome from the beginning. Now, listen, if Dems were able to get these authoritarian strategy-ass practicing Republicans to make some concessions on healthcare, I would be the first person on this radio saying I was wrong and applauding them. But I never saw it happening. That's why I said I think they lost. I'm sorry that y'all believe in MAGA more than I do, okay? But I applaud Democrats, okay? Dropping a clues bomb for Democrats for doing something they don't normally do, and that's fighting. They threw a Hail Mary on behalf of the American people because they know the American people are about to get their asses kicked when it comes to these high-ass health insurance premiums courtesy of the Republicans. I would have loved.
Okay. Right there. Now you calling Roland Martin Charlamagne. You got the nerve to call Roland Martin a tap dancing Democrat shield, and you're not wrong with that, but yet you're dropping Q's bombs or whatever you call that for the Democrats who are doing the same thing, who are literally sacrificing people and putting people on the chopping block so they can advance their own party, even because they're getting paid. The only reason they care about Obamacare is because they're getting money from that, okay? They're directly getting money from that, okay? It's beneficial for them. They didn't do it for the sake of the people. And Charlamagne, because, you know, Charlamagne works for iHeartRadio, because Breakfast Club is owned by iHeartRadio, and iHeartRadio works with the Democrats. So Charlamagne indirectly, unlike Roland, because Roland is directly, so Charlamagne indirectly has to shield and toe the line for the Democrats, so Charlamagne can never completely disparage them. Notice any of Charlamagne's quote-unquote criticisms of the Democrat Party is always like, well, I mean, I know you guys are trying to do the right thing. Charlamagne never puts the Democratic Party in the light and say that the Democrat Party are as bad, okay? Charlamagne doesn't do that. Notice that. Charlamagne toes the line for the Democrat Party too. Do y'all remember Charlamagne's been caping for the look, hold on. Remember this clip? Hold on.
Gotta come see us when you come to New York, VP Biden.
I will.
It's a long way until November. We got more questions.
You got more questions, but I tell you, if you have a problem figuring out whether you're for me or Trump, and you ain't black.
It don't have nothing to do with Trump. It has to do with the fact I want something for.
But I tell you, if you have a problem figuring out whether you're for me or Trump, and you ain't black. If you have a problem figuring out whether you're for me or Trump, and you ain't black, and you ain't black, Trump, and you ain't black.
It don't have.
And do y'all see that? Right in front of Charlamagne, a black man didn't push back at all and still voted for him and still endorsed him. He didn't come out there and refute what Biden said at all because he can't. Because he works with the party. Because the party works for iHeartRadio. And Charlamagne is contracted by iHeartRadio, so Charlamagne can't say anything. So Charlamagne had to sit there like a good boy, and he had to let Biden tell him, if you have a problem voting for me or Trump, then you ain't black. Charlamagne didn't push back.
Nothing to do with Trump. It has to do with the fact I want something for my community. I would love to see.
Take a look at my record, man. I extended the voting rights 25 years. I have a record that is second to none. The NAACP
is. As you can see, Biden got a little frustrated, cutting Charlamagne off. Charlamagne in the middle of speaking, and then look at my record, boy. Or he, that's what he wanted to say. He wanted to say the hard N-word. Look here, you Nick. That's what he wanted. You could tell. That's what the N-word was on the tip of his tongue. You could already tell. He was calling him all these boys and N-words and everything. Every racial slur was on Biden. He was boy, look, you, this Negro talking back to me. You could tell that's what Biden was thinking.
Endorsed me every time I've run. The record that 25 years. Look at my record, man. I extended the voting.
Look at my record, man. You know he didn't mean man. He meant boy. That's what he really meant. But Charlamagne shut up. And he was quiet.
25 years. I have a record that is second.
Charlamagne nodded his head. You see that nod?
The NAACP has endorsed me every time I've run. Come on. Take a look at the record.
Okay. All right. Charlamagne, come on now. You ain't got too much room to be talking. You ain't got too much room to be talking, Charlamagne. I'm going to be honest with you because you don't really push back. Not really. Anytime somebody says anything, Charlamagne, you should be pushing back, but yet you don't. Okay, remember when Cory Booker was on the Breakfast Club talking about reparations?
Give $1, $2 because we're going to show that the people, we can do this.
Does Cory Booker have a specific agenda for black people? And if so, what is it?
Look, man, I as an African American, you know, as a black person, so much of the realities for all Americans, if you look at the lens of African Americans, they've been in many ways the conscience of this country from its founding. When we said we were going to be a nation of liberty and justice for all, the African American experience challenged the inadequacy of those words when it meant reality. And so right now, you pick an issue from maternal mortality rates to incarceration, the broken criminal justice system, to access to health care. You see African Americans having worse outcomes, and you address the issues of Americans, power African Americans, the very promise of America becomes real. And let me give you an example of this. A very specific example, because politicians give platitudes all the time. One of the main reasons, I didn't shy away from this, my pollsters told me it wasn't a big issue on the minds of New Jerseyans, but I ran telling people I was going to Washington to do something about mass incarceration. And they said, well, it's not a big issue, but we came down there, and for years, I've been a senator for over 5 years, I worked, and just last Congress, we finally got a bill done. Now, it doesn't solve the problem, but it's the first time in our lifetime, after the prison population going up 500%, between the time I was in law school and the time I was mayor of Newark, we were building a new prison in this country like every 10 days. Finally, we have legislation that I was able to get done with people on the other side of the aisle that starts tearing down the institution of mass incarceration.
Look how long he takes to get to the specific policy. This is word salad, and this is what the Democrats do because they know the Breakfast Club is their biggest audience are black, and politicians come up there because they want the black vote. That's the only reason politicians go to the Breakfast Club is when it's election season. You don't see them out there outside of election season, outside of when they need votes, when they need support. That's when you see them out there. So they go around election season, and the Democrats, or the Democrat shills rather, Charlamagne, Envy, all of them at the time, it was Angela Yee at the time, they will sit up there and will ask softball questions about reparations and allow them to give this word salad explanation that never goes anywhere.
And this is a community that put their
This man is
faith in
talking
me.
and talking and talking, and Charlamagne sits back because that's his job. That's Charlamagne's job. Charlamagne's job is not to push back on reparations. Charlamagne doesn't do that, and we know that. Let's be 100% clear, okay? Let's look at this when he was doing his thing with Kamala Harris. Remember this?
Hi, I'm Bobby from Georgia, and I have a question for Kamala Harris. Could you please respond to Trump's claim that he's going to use the Alien Enemies Act of 1798 to round up immigrants if he wins the election? This law was last used to put Asian Americans in internment camps during World War II, and I have a sneaking suspicion that if Trump wins, he's going to use this law to put anyone that doesn't look white in camps, and I'm scared.
Yeah, so
and this is also something that the Breakfast Club was doing. So this is why Charlamagne don't have that much room to talk about Roland. He can't do that because the Breakfast Club, y'all clearly had staged callers, vetted callers, staged and vetted callers to go up there and be like, guys, I think that Donald Trump is going to put anyone who's not white in concentration camps. I'm scared. If that's not staged, I don't know what is. And the Breakfast Club allowed that to happen to make it seem as if Kamala was genuinely talking to the average American person and was actually answering real questions that we have. Nobody thought that all non-white people were going to be sent to a concentration camp. Nobody thought that. If y'all didn't know, Donald Trump was actually president for 4 whole years prior. Come on, and you can already hear the moisture. I'm scared. I'm scared. I'm gonna be sent to a concentration camp because I'm not white. And Charlamagne, wow, real talk. Yeah, dude, come on.
You've hit on a really important point and expressed it, I think, so well, which is he is achieving his intended effect to make you scared. He is running full time on a campaign that is about instilling fear, not about hope, not about optimism, not about the future, but about fear. And so this is yet another example. Look what he did in saying that those legal immigrants in Springfield, Ohio, were eating their pets. And by the way, the hypocrisy of it abounds because on the issue of immigration, let's be clear, some of the most conservative members of the United States Congress, working with others, came up with a border security bill, which was the strongest, toughest border security bill in a long, long time.
Oh Lord, well, I can't even bear it. I'm sorry, I can't even, because this is about Charlamagne. I'm gonna start getting on Harris. Let's stay focused. Let me stay focused. Okay, because we got to get on. We got to get on Charlamagne. Okay, because Charlamagne, you do not push back. Okay, you literally do not push back when it comes to the Democrats, when it comes to standing on business. Charlamagne, you don't do that at all. Remember when Brian Donalds came to the Breakfast Club and was saying no to reparations?
Well, you can explain, detail, but I will. A couple things is, all right, how many people in the United States today are actually descendants of slave owners? Forget descendants of slaves. Let's hold that to the side. Descendants of slave owners. You've had massive immigration into the United States over the last 150 years. So now you're going to say that people who immigrated to the United States, who are not descendants of slave owners, were not descendants of that trade, now they're going to be responsible for paying that out going forward. My mother's Jamaican. My father's Panamanian. You have a lot of black people in this country who are not descendants of the American slave trade. So I already know off top, there's a lot of black people in America who aren't going to be able to get that kind of benefit or get reparations.
Well, most people who are for reparations, they feel like it should go to what they call foundational black Americans anyway.
Now, okay. So Charlamagne knows about the reparations movement. Charlamagne knows. He said most people who are for reparations are for foundational black Americans anyway. So he knows about immigrants not getting reparations. He already knows about that. And then look at what Brian said.
I agree with that point. But I'm just saying, I'm just laying out, these are the reasons.
And I just got to highlight this again, because people act like when we say FBA, nobody knows what we're talking about. Notice how Brian doesn't ask foundational black Americans. What is that? Who are foundational black Americans? Who are you talking about? Brian already knows who foundational black Americans are. Think about that. Brian was not confused. Brian said, yeah, I agree. Brian knows who foundational black Americans are. All of the people who be acting like, y'all know that FBA stuff, that's only online. And it's never going to be reality. Nobody in the real world calls themselves FBA. Nobody at all. Tethers be saying that all the time. Nobody in the real world knows about that FBA stuff. You guys are a fringe online group of haters who just hate everybody. They say that all the time. Brian Donalds, who's not FBA, he knew exactly who FBA was. Charlamagne did too. And Charlamagne knows FBA is so popular. Charlamagne, keep in mind, didn't even feel the need to explain who FBA are, what FBA means. Charlamagne didn't, because he already knows Brian knows about it. Because if you know about American politics, you already know who FBA is and what that means. So anytime a tether comes up here and be like, well, FBA, that's never going to catch on. Nobody knows what FBA is. That sounds ridiculous. Everybody does. They're lying. And they're just going to lie to the bitter end. I just wanted to highlight that point. But pay very close attention to what Brian has to say.
For why I'm no. So
So you do support reparations for what Leonard just deemed as, quote, foundational black Americans?
No.
And you see her being a hater. That was so shady. The air quotes. When he said the foundational black Americans. Okay. And this is why nobody listens to that dumb podcast she got going on too. Nobody listens to that either. What would you do the air quote for? You see that? That was so shady and messy.
I'm just laying out, these are the reasons for why I'm no. So why I'm saying
now. You do support reparations for what Leonard just deemed as, quote, foundational black Americans?
No, I don't. No. But I want to explain that. And so that's why you have a lot of people saying, okay, well, then what are we going to do? And so my view is that what you do going forward is just why you have to.
And notice he said, no, I don't. No, remember, no, I don't.
Support reparations for what Leonard just deemed as, quote, foundational Black Americans?
No, I don't.
No.
No, but I want to explain that. I want to explain that. And so that's why you have a lot of people saying, okay, well, then what are we going to do? And so my view is that what you do going forward is just why you have to have wholesale changes in economic, medical policy, et cetera, so that the ability to access various parts of our economy and grow in our economy work for everybody, including people in our country who are, quote unquote, foundationally Black. Now, let me translate to what's happened in California. This is your state. In California, there was a push to
I'm
have
actually
the
from Washington State.
Oh, I'm sorry, but I heard earlier using California, so that's why I'm saying it.
No problem.
So there was a bill in California for reparations. The California Assembly, which is massively Democrat. They didn't move that bill. They could have moved that bill. When they were asked why they weren't moving that bill, they tucked tail and turned and ran away. They didn't even have the guts to actually answer that question. So I'm here with y'all. I'll tell you why I'm a no. But you have Democrats who will say they're for something, but when it comes time to actually do it, they're not there for you. They run away. They don't answer the question. And to be blunt, like the current vice president, not answering a lot of questions.
But she did say that she's for reparations.
After she said she wasn't. So which one is it?
No, she knows that she wasn't.
That's never happened.
That's the false narrative.
All right, that's fine. I'm gonna let
she
it go.
was here when she said it.
I'm gonna let you have it. I'm not gonna.
Do you see that? Do you see that? She actually did say she wasn't. Brian Donalds, as much of a tether as he is, he was correct. She did say, and here goes Charlamagne carrying the water. He didn't correct her. He didn't correct Brian, about saying no for reparations. The time that Charlamagne made the correction was on Kamala's behalf, not on behalf of reparations, not on behalf of foundational Black Americans, but Charlamagne, he stepped in when it was something that had to do with Kamala. When it was something that made Kamala look bad. Oh no, that's when Charlamagne decided to interject. Because you can say, no, I'm not for reparations. My family, my mother's from Panama and my dad is Jamaican, or whatever order he said it was. So I'm not for reparations. And Charlamagne didn't push back against that. But oh my God, when you said Kamala's not for, oh no, she is. Yes, she is. Yes, she is. Yeah, Charlamagne made sure he jumped in there because he don't want to go back in that boardroom with iHeartRadio and have them chew him out over reparations. He didn't want that to happen. So notice where he pushed back. So Charlamagne, receipts like this out, where do you think you have the room to talk about Roland Martin? You have room, but you ain't got much room because you be doing the same thing. You literally be doing the same thing.
Yeah, I'm almost out.
But I guess the question is, Congressman, you say that you're not for reparations. Then you go on to say that there are a lot of elected officials. We know that racism is a bipartisan problem, right? So on that, do you know who was the father of affirmative action?
Okay. Now, do you guys know recently, for whatever reason, Ben Shapiro, this is like a couple months ago, Ben Shapiro was on the Breakfast Club. And Charlamagne did mention, because the conversation turned from DEI, because Ben Shapiro, he's against DEI because he thinks that helps Black people. So he's against anything that helps Black people because we all know Ben Shapiro hates Black people. He said that. Come on now. We're not lying on him. He's all but said it in everything he says. Every word he utters about Black people is vitriol and hatred towards Black people. So we all know that. Okay. So he was on the Breakfast Club for whatever reason, because he paid enough money to iHeartRadio to get on the Breakfast Club, and Charlamagne did ask him about reparations, and we're gonna play that. We're gonna play that for you, okay? Hold on. This is what that was. Oh, here it is. StreamYard is kind of tweaking a little bit. I don't know what's going on, but this is what that was.
Sundar Pichai over at Google, right? He is an immigrant to the United States. So I'm not anti-legal immigration. I think some of the arguments that are made on this side of the populist aisle are wrong. When it comes to DEI is a bit of a different thing, because DEI is the argument essentially that there should be a lower standard applied to certain people because of historic grievances. And that is a net loser. And the reason that is a net loser is because what you are essentially doing, number one, is there are plenty, I think, of qualified Black people who don't need the hand up in order to succeed in their particular industries. I don't think they need the extra 200 points on the SAT in order to get into Harvard. So that's number one. Number two,
I do want to say I've never been the biggest fan of DEI, but I do feel like when things have been done systemically to a people to keep them down, some things have to be done systemically to actually lift them up. So when you look at all of the different, legislation that has been passed that has actually oppressed Black people, in that case, I don't have a problem with DEI.
So I think immediate reparations.
First off, to say you don't have a problem with DEI is not the correct thing to say, because what Ben Shapiro did is, and what I find very interesting is that this moment reminds me of when Roland Martin interviewed Richard Spencer. It's almost like a parallel of that moment. Do you guys remember that when Roland Martin interviewed Richard Spencer? Now, Charlamagne didn't go out as bad because Richard Spencer literally asked him if he's a Black man, and Roland said, no, I'm a Christian. Now he's the advocate for Black people, even though when he was asked about that by Richard Spencer, he said, I'm a man, I'm a Christian, I'm this, I'm that, I'm this, I'm that, I'm that. He didn't say he was Black, but now all of a sudden he's the leader of Black people and he's the authority on Black issues. But this is almost like a parallel, because now you have Charlamagne and now you have Ben Shapiro, who's kind of like the small hat version of Richard Spencer. Charlamagne is wrong about DEI. He should have corrected Ben Shapiro when Ben Shapiro worded DEI like that, because DEI is not the quote unquote lowering of standards. That's not what DEI is, or is not what it was supposed to be. Now, we all know DEI, it turned into benefiting everybody and their mama over Black folk. We already know that. But what DEI was initially supposed to be was supposed to be highlighting and looking at the disparities, because there have been historic setbacks, systemic setbacks against Black people in particular. So DEI was supposed to be the remedy for that, because whether you're qualified or not, and I'm gonna give an example of this, whether you're qualified or not, and this is what DEI was supposed to be. It turned out not to be that way at all. But what it was supposed to be a remedy and a counterbalance for anti-Black discrimination. I'm going to give you an example. If a person, and there's been many studies on this, if a person calls two people equally qualified, equal employment history, education, all of that, one person is named John and another person is named Jamal, the company will pick John 10 times over than Jamal, because John is a whiter sounding name. And with this, now most people, you get your name from your parents, you can legally change it, but most people don't. Most people, whatever your name is, that's your name. So if you're named a Black name, then you're less likely to get called back, even if you're just as equally qualified. So what DEI was supposed to be, keyword suppose, what DEI was supposed to be was the counterbalance to say, well, now we got to make sure that we hire people and we don't overlook, not even hire people, but we shouldn't overlook, and we should give the people named Jamal or Shaquiqua or whatever type of Black quote unquote name, we should make sure that they have a fair chance just as much as we do with John or Bob or Sarah or whomever. So that's what it was supposed to be. What Ben did is he lied and said, well, DEI is giving a handout to people who are underqualified. That's the same thing that they say about affirmative action. And they only use that when they're speaking on and in the context of the Black community. Because notice, right after Ben said that, he immediately said Black. He didn't say women. He didn't say people of color. He didn't say minorities. He said Black. And then here goes Charlamagne. Well, I don't fully agree, but I think it's cool. No, Charlamagne should have shut that down immediately. Shut it down all the way, but he didn't do that. Let's get to it, because then they're going to bring up reparations. Look at this.
Black people leave.
No, it for sure is not. The sort of the problem with DEI is that it is in fact a zero-sum game. Only one person is going to get that job. And so the question is the person who gets that job the best qualified for that job, or is that a person who's less qualified for the job and is going to underperform in the job compared to what otherwise would have been? And if you want to maximize the pie for everybody, what you want is a meritocracy where the best people at any job get ahead. Now, if you're talking about reparations for immediate past wrongs, I think it's a much easier conversation. So I think that if you're in 1968, 1970, and you're talking about what can we do to rectify the problems of Jim Crow and make it right for the people who suffered under Jim Crow, I think that's a really live and interesting conversation, and I think that it's totally worth having. I think that on a sort of public policy level.
Now, notice he said that too. He says, I think it's a really live and interesting conversation. Oh, his voice is just is irritating. It's gut-wrenchingly irritating. It is. I think it's a live and very interesting conversation, but he didn't say he agreed. He doesn't agree. He just thinks it's a conversation, quote unquote, worth having, that people should get reparations for Jim Crow if they immediately suffered from Jim Crow. That's a conversation worth having. He didn't say he agreed. Just keep that in mind. Just keep that in mind for what he says next. Okay. Somebody said my voice is annoying too. Okay. Well, you don't got to listen to this. You don't got to do all that now. We got Ben Shapiro fans in here.
Reparative policies don't tend to be nearly as effective as people want them to be, historically speaking.
They work for Jewish people.
In what way?
Jewish people that receive reparations.
You mean Holocaust reparations, for example, from Germany? So I think that first of all, that there was like a gigantic fight. Actually,
first off, do you see how much he's stuttering there? Now I called it out because Charlamagne was like, well, Jewish people, they got reparations, and Ben Shapiro stuttered. Well, what you mean? Hold on. Well, I mean, you talking about? Yeah. You saw? From Germany. Okay, yeah, from Germany. Yeah. I got that. I didn't know I forgot about the reparations that we got. Even though Ben Shapiro is out here disparaging reparations, then when we talk about his community getting reparations, then he goes, yeah. Those. Well, let me explain. Okay. So it's a different circumstance with you. But listen to him stutter again. I think that's funny.
The problem with DEI is that it is, in fact, a zero-sum game. Only effective as people want them to be, historically speaking.
They work for Jewish people.
In what way?
Jewish people that receive reparations.
You mean Holocaust reparations, for example, from Germany? So I think that first of all, that there was like a gigantic fight actually in Israel over whether Holocaust survivors should accept reparations from Germany, because the idea was that it's allowing them to expiate their sins of the past, and they shouldn't be allowed to expiate those sins, and it's allowing them to sort of buy off the history for $50,000 or whatever it is. But that is not the reason why Israel has become successful economically. Like, just on a success level, the reality is that cutting people checks rarely makes them more successful from the government. What usually makes people more successful is a determined attempt to become the things that the meritocracy demands of you, right? So,
okay. Notice Ben says, well, I mean, there was a big fight. There was a big fight about reparations at the time. There were people in Israel who didn't want reparations. Okay, all right. But reparations was given. You can't deny that, Ben. Ben can't deny that reparations was actually given to people in his community. And Ben never says anything about reparations when it came to his people. Now, he will get there on a platform and he will say reparations is bad for us to get. And even if we go back, we got to go back almost 100 years, and then the conversation would be, quote unquote, worth having. But when it comes to his people, well, I mean, there were some people who didn't want it, but Ben never says he disagreed with them getting reparations. Notice that. And then he moves past the conversation. Well, we didn't become successful because of reparations. Really? You didn't? Y'all didn't become successful because of reparations. Well, are y'all going to give the money back then? If y'all don't need it like that, are y'all going to give the money back? No, because y'all consistently, even still to this day, get reparations. And Ben never pushes back against that. Charlamagne should have been on that. He should have been on that. Because I would have.
There were no long scale.
Think the U.S. foreign assistance for Israel has helped financially.
Well, I mean, the U.S. foreign assistance for Israel actually is a bargain for the United States, because Israel doesn't need the money. I've said this before.
Well,
Israel,
give it to us.
I mean,
we'll take it.
That's fine.
The black community would gladly take
that's in it.
I can't speak for everybody.
It's like $3 billion a year. We should point out at this point that we spend, I think, $6 billion a year on our military bases in Japan, $5 billion a year on our military bases in Germany. We spend an awful lot of money that helps an awful lot of other countries. Israel has to spend all of that money, by the way, in the United States on military products. So all.
No, and then Ben is lying. Ben is lying. And Charlamagne is not pushing back strong enough. That's the thing. The same way Roland didn't push back. Well, Roland didn't push back at all. But Charlamagne is not pushing back nearly strong enough on reparations. And Charlamagne knows about Foundational Black Americans. Charlamagne knows about the reparations movement. Charlamagne knows it. Charlamagne actually had Dr. Claude Anderson on his platform to speak of, or not his platform, on the Breakfast Club to speak about reparations. So Charlamagne is very informed on reparations. Charlamagne is not ignorant on that. Charlamagne is also informed on what DEI is. Charlamagne should have, if he knew Ben Shapiro was coming on, Charlamagne should have stuck it to Ben as far as his stance on reparations. Charlamagne didn't do that. Okay. Charlamagne lightly allowed, and he said, well, okay, well, we'll take it. American Aid has given that to him. No, if their community wants to criticize us getting reparations, their community shouldn't get it. Ben Shapiro has his community getting rich, high off the hog on reparations, as he's sitting up here being an impediment and a gatekeeper for us to get reparations. And he should have stood on that principle. Not kind of hinted at it and then kind of jokingly allowed it to slide. He shouldn't have done that. So when it needs to be, Charlamagne really don't be standing on business like that anyway. So when you ask the question of, the Democrat shields going at each other, both of them go at each other. Now, Roland, of course, we all know Roland, he goes after everybody. I mean, Roland will go after literally any and everybody, including icons like Janet Jackson. Do y'all remember that? I gotta play the receipt of that. Y'all don't remember Roland going after Janet Jackson? If y'all don't, here it is.
Mercy, Janet Jackson, Janet Jackson, Janet Jackson. Okay, y'all, she's the latest black celebrity to spread misinformation about Vice President Kamala Harris. In an interview with The Guardian, y'all, published Saturday, to promote the second leg of her concert tour, Janet Jackson claimed she heard that Kamala Harris was not black and the vice president's daddy was white. Here's what the reporter wrote. On For Us, it was about making a difference in a kid's life, a teenager's life, from them taking this path with drugs and going down the wrong street, trying to make something of themselves. On that record, she sang about joining voices in protest to social injustice and pushing toward a world rid of color lines. I wonder where she stands on the forthcoming election. After all, I say, America could be on the verge of voting in its first black female president, Kamala Harris. Well, you know what they supposedly said, she asked me. She's not black. That's what I heard, that she's Indian. She looks at me expectantly, perhaps assuming that I have Indian heritage.
She is Indian, and she is not black. Janet Jackson was correct.
Well, she's both, I offered. Her father's white. That's what I was told. I mean, I haven't watched the news in a few days, she coughs. I was told that they discovered her father was white. I'm floored at this point. It's well known that Harris's father is a Jamaican economist, a Stanford professor who split from her Indian mother when she was 5. Quote, my mother understood very well that she was raising 2 black daughters. Harris wrote in her book, The Truths We Hold. The people who are most vocal in questioning the facts of Harris's identity around a massive square table. And we were all basically recorded the show asking questions. So we interviewed Janet. So it was Tom, it was Sybil, it was Jay, it was Chris Paul, Huggy Lowdown, it was myself. It was like everybody who was on the show. So everybody's asking different questions. So this is 2019. Vice President Kamala Harris is running. And I remember I asked the question, was Janet Jackson going to endorse, or was she, really focused on the election? And so she gave, I can't remember what the hell she said. I don't know what kind of non-answer she sort of gave. Like, I'm not really whatever. I'm not quite remember. So check this out. So like 2 hours later, Tom comes up to me, pissed. He's like, because of your question, you can't really interview. So what are you talking about? Well, her people came in and they were like, nope, can't really interview. And then Tom said, we offered to them, hey, we'll just edit out Roland's question, her answer. Nope, and not at all. Can't run the whole interview at all. And it never ran. It never did. Now, if I was Tom, I'd run the damn interview now. I don't give a shit. But I'm sitting there going, how is it now 3 days later, and you, Janet Jackson, still haven't issued an apology for that stupid-ass comment you made? Now, let me be real clear, okay? I think Janet Jackson is a fantastic entertainer. Puts on a great show. But this was a dumb-ass comment. And asinine.
Okay, you see, I mean, Roland Martin, he'll call Janet Jackson. He said that's a dumbass comment. Roland Martin is quick to call people stupid. Quick to call everybody's comments stupid. Anybody and everybody who's not a Democrat shield, he'll come out and it's not even he didn't even respectfully correct Janet Jackson. That's not what Roland does when Roland disagrees with somebody. It's not a well, let me address what Janet Jackson had to say, or let me rather reach out to Janet Jackson and try to inform her. Or if I can't reach out to her, let me try to politely and respectfully correct what our sister and icon, our FBA icon, who's a part of FBA dynasty, kind of at this point. I mean, Michael Jackson's family is Jackson's family. We call it Michael Jackson. That's how much of an icon this family is. And shout out to the movie coming out next year. I'm very excited for that. Y'all excited for the Jackson movie coming out? Since we're talking about the Jackson family, we got the Michael Jackson movie coming out next year. But let me not, because I'm gonna start talking about Michael Jackson. Y'all gonna get me started. Don't do that. Don't get me started, because we're gonna divert and we're gonna go into talking about Michael Jackson. It's not about Michael Jackson. Let me stay focused. It's not. Let me stay focused. But you see how he's talking about our sister Janet Jackson? I mean, just no respect at all. None. And dissing her over a point she made that was correct. She was correct. And here goes Roland dissing her. No respect. Dissing an actual real black woman over a woman who cosplays as a black woman, who's not a black woman. That's what Roland does. So he has no room to talk about having quote unquote integrity or anything like that. Now, Roland, of course, he had some pathetic little response to what Charlamagne had to say. So this was Roland's response to it. I'm just going to play a little bit because he goes on talking about how much he loves black people and how much he cares about the black community, and everything he's ever done has been around black people and the interest of black people. I got to fast forward this one because this is something else. But this is what Roland has to say. He doesn't debunk being a Democrat shield. Doesn't do that. No. But he just talks about his quote unquote loyalty to the black community.
High school, Magnet School of Communications in Houston, Texas. And I chose to go there when I was 14 years old. And I wrote columns for our school paper. So I've had people responding to things that I have said that they disagree with since I was 17 years old. I go to Texas A&M. I remember one day I came home and my brother said, "Man, what you do?" That's what you're talking about. Our answering machine was filled with all these vile messages from Aggies who were mad because of a column that I wrote in the school paper of the battalion, chastising and lambasting the Texas Aggie band for playing Dixie at halftime. When I interned and worked at the Bryan College Station Eagle, I wrote opinion pieces. Didn't make some folks happy. I remember when I worked at the Houston Defender in 1990, and I wrote an editorial criticizing the United Negro College Fund's campaign to a segment we did last week, where two panelists that had a profound and significant impact on our community. And see, I'm absolutely unbothered if someone says, "Oh, you're a Democrat shield, you doing this, that, the other for the Democrats." No, because see, I'm real clear. I stand up for black people. I stand up for black people on the local level, the state level, the national level, international level. I fight on behalf of black people. I've worked in black-owned media, not black-targeted media. iHeartRadio owns the Breakfast Club. That's black-targeted. That's not black-owned. So I've worked on black-owned media since 1990. That's 35 years. I'll be 57 on Friday. That's 35 years. See, when I was at CNN, I was with TV1. I was with WVON Radio in Chicago. And then later, during the Times Journal Morning Show. So when you ride for black people, then you are clear in what your focus, your mission, and your agenda is.
And then he goes on and this whole thing was about 40 minutes. And he played a little clip of him being on the Breakfast Club, but this whole thing was 40 minutes. That's Roland saying that he rides for black people. This is him saying that. We got so many receipts on Roland. We be here all night, but we ain't gonna play we ain't gonna play all of them, but we gonna play more. Yeah, we gonna play more of those receipts we got on Roland. You ride for black people. Didn't you say this about foundational black Americans? Because Roland been dissing foundational black Americans for the longest time. Okay. Roland been doing that for the very longest time. Dissing Janet Jackson. You didn't ride for Janet Jackson, did you? You don't ride for black people who's not a Democrat shield. You told us that we were idiots and stupid. Okay. Dissing us all the time. I mean, come on.
You FBA B1
Hold on.
who are out there yelling about how
listen to this.
More checks were all of you FBA B1.
First off, do y'all see Roland's eyes? I mean, Roland is bucking his eyes. Roland is that, I mean, if he's not eye bucking, but this is him riding for black people.
All of you FBA B1 people who are out there yelling about how more checks were coming and Trump was sitting here, y'all wanted tangibles. Oh, Trump was going to give you tangibles. Oh, you can bank on the tangibles that Donald Trump is going to give you. It's going to be a foot in your ass.
Really? And what were we getting with Biden-Harris, with the Biden administration? Biden told us if we don't vote for him, we're not black. And Kamala literally said, I'm not going to sit here and tell you I'm going to do something only for black people. No. And Roland Martin nodded his head and said that we need to vote for them. And then here goes Roland talking about we going to get a foot in our ass if we don't vote for Massa. And this is him, quote unquote, riding for black people, not for the party that is paying him, but he's riding for black people as he's telling black people that we should ignore tangibles. Look at the disdain he said with tangibles with his sassy ass. You want tangibles. You want specific things for your community. You're going to get a foot in your ass.
More checks were coming and Trump was sitting here. Y'all wanted tangibles. Oh, Trump was going to give you tangibles. Oh, you can bank on the tangibles that Donald Trump is going to give you. It's going to be a foot in your ass. And your mama and your daddy and your grandparents and your aunts and your uncles and your cousins and your friends. And then I'm just letting y'all know, Reese, Greg, Nyambi, myself, and others are going to be sitting here looking at y'all going, it's above me now. Because y'all were some dumbasses who spent 4 years shitting on Biden. Then you shit on Vice President Harris. Y'all said she wasn't a sister. Y'all talked about how she cooked collard greens. Y'all acted like some assholes about Hillary and hot sauce. Y'all talked about all this sort of stuff like this. And you knew what y'all to get? Butt naked, nude model, First Lady.
I mean, the way he's saying that, we can't say nothing about them at all. Those are his masses. We can't say nothing. Hillary talking about she got hot sauce. She keep hot sauce in her purse. I don't know why y'all thought that that was going to be the thing, because they did that specifically to get the black female vote. Oh, what you keep in your purse? I keep hot sauce in my purse. I got to make sure when I go get my fried chicken at Popeyes that I have hot sauce in case they don't have the hot sauce I like. I keep hot sauce and a pack of Kool-Aid in my purse. Really? Okay. Right next to your CD of Tupac and Snoop Dogg, that's what you keep in your purse. Let Kamala tell it. She keeps a CD of, no, not at the time. She keeps cassettes, not even a CD. She keeps cassettes of Tupac, Snoop Dogg, even though they weren't out when she was in college, but she keeps them. Snoop Dogg, Tupac, a bottle of hot sauce, a pack of Kool-Aid, some collard greens that she washed from the bathtub, or that she will wash in the bathtub. Let me think of what other stereotypical thing. She keeps a few slices of watermelon. She keeps all of this stuff in her purse. Okay. All of these things she keeps in her purse. She keeps the damn chicken in her purse. She keeps a thing of chicken. She keeps a little box of fried chicken in her purse that she takes out and she uses her hot sauce. All right. That's what she does. And if we say, hey, that's offensive, he says, y'all being assholes. That's what he said about us. We're being assholes, according to him. Excuse my language in case there's kids watching.
Melania Trump. What y'all about to get.
And look, he rolling his neck with this sassy behavior. And it's above me now. Y'all gonna get a foot in your ass, and that's what you get for being an asshole.
Is the twice impeached, criminally convicted felon in chief Donald Trump. And then I want to hear y'all yell about tangibles.
We still yelling about tangibles because you didn't know. See, tangibles don't depend on who's in office or who's out of office. See, our loyalty with Roland, it goes beyond him. He's not ever going to comprehend this. Neither really is Charlamagne, because Charlamagne, you work for iHeartRadio, so you're just going to do whatever they tell you to do, clearly. Biden says, you ain't black if you don't vote for me. Charlamagne, you voted. So I guess, I mean, it is what it is. You thought that Biden was the authority on your blackness, so I can't tell you too much either. But as far as we are concerned, our allegiance is to the community. Our allegiance is not to the party. So that means when it comes to the campaign of tangibles, when it comes to the campaign of reparations, when it comes to the campaign of anti-black hate crime laws, when it comes to those things, that doesn't stop. We're not requesting that, or demanding rather, we're not demanding that only from the Democrats, or only from Kamala, or only from specific candidates. That is the demand, point blank, period. That means when we say, y'all really are not getting this. Let me explain this like I'm explaining to a child. When we say no tangibles, no vote, that goes across the board. That means for any and everybody, whether you're a Republican, whether you're a Democrat, whether you're green, whether you're in between, it don't matter. You could be red, blue, green, yellow, orange, black, white. It don't matter. When we say no tangibles, no vote, that is it. That's our final statement. Put a big fat period at the end of that statement, because that's what we're on. That's what we're on with Republicans. You think we're gonna bend or sacrifice and acquiesce to Donald Trump? Hey, no, we said we having the same standard. No tangibles, no vote. We're not lowering the price for Donald Trump, and we're not gonna lower the price for the Biden administration or Kamala Harris or whoever is gonna run again. We're not doing that. But to Roland Martin, we shouldn't have a price. Our price should just be a pat on the head. Our price should just be knowing that we served his master. That's all the thanks he needs, is knowing that he did a good job. He wanted Kamala to say, good job, boy. You did a really good job, boy. And he was, I did do a good job. That's what he's gonna say. And because we messed that up, that we're uneducated assholes. That's what he said. Roland, you don't have the authority to ever speak on us. You don't have the authority to speak on Charlamagne. You said, I'm doing all of this. You can call me a Democrat shield. You are. And if you're not a Democrat shield, who is? You're the definition. If you go to look up a Democrat shield in the dictionary, Roland Martin's face is going to pop up. It's going to be so big, it's going to take up the whole other side of the page. You look up Democrat shield and you see Roland Martin's side on the page. You got to turn the other page to get to more words, because his whole big fat head is going to take up half the page. Okay, I'm not bullying. I'm just stating a clear fact that we have evidence to back up. Roland Martin is for sale. And the thing is that the thing that makes it so messed up is that Roland Martin and Charlamagne, y'all both for sale, but at least Charlamagne is getting something. I'm gonna be honest. If y'all, first off, I'm not for sale, and I know you guys aren't for sale, but at least Charlamagne is getting something. At least he getting paid to some degree. Roland is for sale, and your price is cheap. Your price is cheap. This is, I mean, Charlamagne, I guess his price. Well, Charlamagne doesn't really have a price. His bosses have a price, and Charlamagne is just the employee who does his boss's bidding. So I guess you can make that argument. I suppose. Y'all both for sale. But let me tell y'all something. This point right here is a really good thing. We're right before the midterms, and we got Democrat shills arguing with each other. All of this stuff, it makes the party look real bad. You think after all of this, and then the Democrats reopen the government, they cave to the Republicans and reopen the government? You think this is a good thing? I promise you it's not. This is terrible. And this will reflect terribly going into the midterms. And you think the Democrat shills fighting each other, battling it out, you think this is going to be a good thing? No, this is going to make the party look dysfunctional and weak and terrible. It is going to make it seem like you guys are not aligned on anything, which is true. Because the only people who actually are aligned are people who have righteous agendas. That's us. That's me. That's you. That's all of us together. We're the only people that notice you never see infighting. You've never seen me, and I've been here for over 5 years, never seen me diss anybody in the community. Diss anybody. You've never seen me do that. The only people I've called out, and I've called a lot of people out, the only people I've ever called out have been opposition, whether they're Republican, Democrat, whomever. They've been opposition to the community. I've only called people out when it was in the best interest of the collective, of the community. Whether that's a tether, whether that's a Democrat shield, whether that's a Republican shield, or whoever. Okay? Nobody I've dissed has ever been off of, I personally don't like you, so I'm going to construe what you're doing as negative to the community. No, if I diss you or if I call you out, that means I have receipts on what you're doing. Okay? Because that's the only way I even bring it to you guys. Because I have a high standard of what I bring to you all. So I would only do it if I have receipts. And everybody I have receipts on have done things or are doing things that are in opposition to what is in the best interest of foundational Black Americans. So that's why I call them out. It's never on nothing personal. And notice how everybody operates like that. Everybody. Everybody operates like that. Foundational Black Americans, you talk about the new Black media all the time. We all operate like that. Even if there's disagreements, I might say something, this channel might say something different, this channel might have a different take on it, but we all have enough mutual respect for each other to allow other people's opinions to just be that. Notice nobody you guys respect ever has called me out. Think about that. I've been here and I've probably said some things that y'all maybe disagree with, or maybe I have a stance or on an issue that you guys might have a difference of opinion on. But notice that I haven't been called out by anybody that you guys, I've been called out by a lot of people, but none of the people that have earned your trust and your respect. Why? Because I'm respected in the community because I'm doing what's in the best interest of foundational Black Americans. Okay, nor notice have I called out anybody that you guys respect, because I know that they're doing what's in the best interest of the community of foundational Black Americans and of the movement. So therefore, I'm not going to call them out because I know what they're doing is in the best interest of the movement. Why would I call somebody out if they're a partner to me and an ally? Or not even an ally, another member in the movement. That would make me against the movement, and I'm not. So you've never seen me do that, and you never will see me do that, and you've never seen anybody else in the movement for real, in the movement call me out, because we're all in alignment. We're all on code. That's what happens when you're on code. Notice how when the Democrat shills with the Republican shills. You see Republicans going at each other. You see Ben Shapiro fighting Tucker Carlson saying something to Nick Fuentes dissing Candace Owens dissing Ben dissing Candace. You see all of these infighting going on. You see all of that stuff because their allegiance is to themselves. They're selfish people who are selfishly attacking black people. They're selfish, hateful, and dare I say evil people. I think what they do is evil. I think what the Republicans do is evil. This is why you have Angela Yee diss Joe Budden. And then you'll have Mark Lamont Hill diss this person. And then you'll have Roland Hill diss, let me see, what's his name with the big head? What's his name with the big head? I forgot his name with the big head. That's crazy. That's crazy. Stephen A. Smith. You'll see Roland diss Stephen A. Smith, and Stephen A. Smith diss Roland, and then Roland diss Charlamagne, and Charlamagne diss Roland. You see all this dysfunction? You don't ever see us doing that. You've never seen us doing that. There's not been a single person I've ever addressed, I've ever did anything to where you're like, Afro, why are you going after him? Why are you going after her? Why are you saying this about him? Why are you saying this about her? Because 9 times out of 10, if I ever do address somebody, y'all probably already knew this person was a clown. I don't even be breaking the news. I'll be providing the receipts, but I don't be breaking the news. Y'all smart. Y'all above the curve too. If I address somebody, y'all would never be all like, wow, I didn't know he was. Y'all already know. Y'all already know the people I address are already problematic, which is why y'all cool with it. They fight each other. We don't. And this just highlights how we're always on the right side of history. The right side of history are people who can actually get along. We're the only people who are always getting along, and we've been getting along for years. We've all been getting along for years without no infighting. I ain't made no video about nobody. Nobody made a video about me. It's never been that. But you got a lot of them, and that's because, let's be honest, tethers just really don't have loyalty like that. Yeah, we got to bring up lineage. We do. Because even if we're talking about Democrat shills or Republican shills, it's that tether instinct to backstab. It is what it is. I'm just calling a spade, y'all. Tethers have a instinct to backstab. Okay? So they don't have any loyalty. They're not going to even respectfully address a concern. They're not going to call somebody up on the phone. Roland has Charlamagne's number. He could have called Charlamagne and said, hey, Charlamagne, I think what you said was misinformation. It was kind of dangerous. It was misleading. Maybe you're ill-informed. Let me correct you. No, he went to YouTube and dissed Charlamagne because Roland is a tether, and that's his instinct. They have this instinct to do that. He did that with one of his friends, Stephen A. Smith. Now, Stephen A. Smith is a tether too, but he did that with Stephen A. Smith. Roland keeps doing that. He does that with whether that's Janet Jackson, whether that's Stephen A. Smith, his friend, whether that's Charlamagne. It doesn't matter. Roland has an instinct to the second he will snake you in a moment without a second thought. That's where he comes from. That's his instinct. That's the tether instinct in him. That's why he's doing that. And notice us, you've never seen us do that. Why have you never seen us do that? Because we don't allow tethers in the movement. We don't. We don't allow backstabbers and stuff like that in the movement. There's a lot of people, anybody who probably has an issue or a disagreement with me, y'all can reach out. Y'all can reach out. There's a lot of y'all who reach out and say, Afro, I have a different stance on Boo Op the Bam or whatever the case is. A lot of people do. People have my number too. People can reach out to me. I'm not super hard to reach. I might be late for YouTube, but you know, that's another thing. We're not going to go there. I might be a good 15, 20 minutes late every time, but okay. I'm working on it, y'all. I am. Okay. I'm trying to get it before the New Year's. I'm working on it. I know y'all get mad about that. Y'all be in the chat room. I'll be sitting up there getting ready. I'll be seeing y'all roast me all the time. I deserve it. I'm going to hold myself accountable. I do. Because y'all be all like, man, this man is always late. I'm going to come back 30 minutes later. I still don't be on. I get it. I understand. You're all right. You guys are right. They be out like 7. Well, he on color people's time, so I'm gonna come back at 8:30. So I understand it. I understand it. I deserve it. I do. I can hold myself accountable that much. I can. Okay. But notice that besides that, you see how accurate this is, how we don't backstab, how easy I am for people to say things. People send super chats, people send emails, I talk to people on a regular basis. I don't vet people when I call them. I literally have an open mic live. I want you to think about that. Roland doesn't do that. Roland doesn't open his microphone and say any and everybody, whether you agree or disagree, call in. He would never do that. And he's a political expert. He would never do that one time. And I want you guys to understand, here's a sign of people you should be listening to, because we're going into the midterms, and the people you should be listening to, here's one of the key signs. And if they don't do this, I damn near say they shouldn't be trusted. There's only literally a handful. And when I say a handful, I can count on my finger the amount of people who don't do this, who I would still give my cosign to. Literally. But a key sign of somebody who at least has integrity in what they believe, at least believes what they are saying, whether it's true or untrue, believes what they're saying and know that they're not telling a lie and trying to mislead people, is people who you can contact. That's a key sign of somebody telling the truth. A key sign of somebody who tells the truth is somebody who regularly, whether it's YouTube, whether it's TikTok, whether it's Twitter, whatever platform they decide to use, they regularly allow their audience to come up and give comments on what they're talking about or to ask questions. Okay? It's a regular thing that they allow people to come up and give comments or leave questions or have something, regardless of what platform. That could be TikTok, Twitter, YouTube, whatever the case is. But people know where they're going to be and how to reach them. They don't hide from the people. That's how you know somebody can actually, or somebody is actually trustworthy, is when people allow the audience and interact with the community, with the audience. How can you follow somebody who literally hides and ducks from the audience, ducks from the community? That means they're just regurgitating a talking point that their masters gave them. We don't regurgitate talking points because we will actually face the community and we will hold ourselves accountable. We're accountable to you guys. I'm accountable to you guys. That's why I'll open up the lines, because I'm accountable to you guys. Because if I'm wrong, I allow you guys to say, Afro, you said this one thing that turned out not to be right. You were wrong about that. Y'all don't see that happening. And I don't screen calls like the Breakfast Club did with Kamala. I don't do that. They will screen calls to make sure the call is in alignment with what's in their best interest. I don't even know who's calling up. There's people who call up and we disagree and we'll go back and forth. I don't shut them down. Live on air, I'll go back and forth with somebody who disagrees. Roland's not going to do that ever. And he's a political expert, according to him. Notice also, I'm holding Roland to a higher standard than I'm holding Charlamagne, because Charlamagne's really just, what'd you call a breakfast show, a talk show? Charlamagne's kind of just a radio host. Really? But Charlamagne doesn't brand himself as a political expert, a political commentator with all of these credentials and expertise. That's what Roland does. Roland's always bringing up his quote unquote credentials and his accolades in politics. And Roland doesn't talk to people. He doesn't talk to the people. You can't trust a thing that comes out of Roland's mouth because Roland is scared of people. When is the last time you seen Roland have a debate? I'm waiting. When is the last time, with all of the things that Roland says, we've seen election after election after election. Roland Martin has dissed people. When have you seen Roland have a not just a debate, a live debate where he's actually going, and even if it was staged, even if not a staged debate, even if it was planned, rather, even if it was something that we got time to prepare our talking points, we got notes, we got clips. When have you seen Roland ever do that? Roland is never going to cross that line because Roland is not a man for the people. Now, that being said, I mean, Charlamagne's not going to do that either, but we already know that. But a person for the people, man or woman, for the people will actually do that. We'll actually have a live debate. Live debates show, even if you lose, it shows that you actually believe what you're saying. It proves that, to the very least. If it doesn't prove anything else, it proves that you believe what you're saying, that you're not out here, you believe it to a degree where you're going to stand on it. This is why when Conscious Lee said he was going to debate, and I don't even want to talk about that Democrat shield, but since we're talking about him, this is why when Conscious Lee said he was going to debate, he ran from everybody, because Conscious Lee is a grifter, and Conscious Lee doesn't believe in what he's saying. None of these people with these big platforms, and they get hundreds of thousands of millions even of subscribers, none of them actually go on live debates. That could have, whether that was Candace Owens, whether that was Charlie Kirk debating college kids, whether that's Roland Martin, Angela Yee, any of them from the Native Land Pod, none of them, they don't go on live debates where in real time people get to correct you. They would never do that because their allegiance is not to you, it's not to the community, it's to their masters. And their masters is going to say, no, you better not do that, because you're going to get tore up. Don't do that, because if you lose, I'm going to fire you. Just do it if you want to. Do it if you want to. But if you lose this debate, your last check is coming in the mail. Don't even bother coming back. And they say, okay, master. Okay, I'm sorry. I ain't going to do it. My bad. I'm not going to debate him. That's what he says. That's what he says. Let me get to the super chats. Get to super chats. Hold on. Oh boy, because we got him. We got him up in here. Let me get to that. Tell it like it is. He says, why the letter on his shirt have stretch marks? The letter on his shirt have stretch marks. Man, that's funny. That is funny. Jacoby says, Roland Martin is so big it requires an LLC to get around. He probably does. He probably would cause accidents just being on the road. Roland Martin, I mean, I'm talking about dude. It looked like Roland Martin is wearing a fat suit, but we know he's not. We can tell in his face he's not wearing a fat suit. That's all him. For real, for real. Continuing. Greatness Rise says, tiny hats, the richest demographic in the U.S. Yeah, that's true. When she's talking about small hats, the tiny hats, you know, he or she is talking about that. U.S. country of reparations. Of course, year of reparations. Israel is free, has free healthcare, education, and most of the people don't work. Courtesy of U.S. tax-paying money. You see that? They don't got to do what we got to do. Yet they'll be the first people coming up here telling us that we don't deserve reparations. They'll be the first people. Ben Shapiro will be on the front lines. Now, you would think that if what happened to them was so bad and they're getting reparations, you would think actually that they would be allying themselves with us and trying to help us get reparations. But in fact, no, they're there being an impediment to reparations. Okay. But they're God's chosen people. Let them tell it. They're the chosen. Okay. Sure. Okay. Miss Unapologetic Identity. Thank you very much for your super sticker. I appreciate you. Mother Tree Moon says time isn't linear for black people. It's secular. Hey, and it's about that time. It's about that time for the revolution to come start paying off. Antithesis says, I am forever grateful for the new black media. Shout out to you, young warrior scholar. Thank you very much. I appreciate you so very much. And I appreciate all of y'all. I really do, because this is this right here just shows how we're on the right side of history. What we're doing, we're on the right side of history. It shows that. Okay? Because I'm not ducking the community. I don't. You've never seen me do that. Y'all have seen me in person, a lot of you all. When do you see Roland in person? Unless it's a stage thing where they're vetting who's coming in. Roland can't be anywhere. Oh, boy. TW for the huge super chat. Thank you so very much, family. Appreciate everything you do, Afro, and I appreciate you. Thank you so very much. I need to get some new sound effects. I need to get some new sound effects, but I appreciate y'all. Let me get to the rest of the super chats. You know, tell it like it is says, only time you can trust Roland is when he tells you he's hungry. That's the only time Roland is correct ever. Roland is never, if Roland said, Roland is so wrong so many times. If Roland said the sun came up today, I would still question that. I would have to double check to see if the sun actually comes up, because Roland is always lying. If it came up, I would have to be like, I don't know. Let me find out. Maybe the sun didn't come up today. Maybe today is the first day in all of human history where the sun actually didn't come up, because Roland said it did, so it probably didn't come up. We're stuck on the moon today. So let me actually double. That's the only time. Now, if Roland said he was hungry, I would believe, I wouldn't question, I wouldn't second guess that. I would believe that wholeheartedly. I would bet my life on that. If he said he's hungry any time of day, he could be eating and saying, hey, I'm hungry, I ain't ate all day. I would still believe that. No, I ate all day. I would never believe him saying I ain't ate all day, but I would believe him saying he's hungry. I would believe that. Okay. Black Up Trick says, Afro Elite keep bringing the truth to the forefront. New black media is reaching FBAs and the messaging is uplifting. B1, black first to you, brother, and thank you very much for that. Thank you. I appreciate you. Okay. And then Eve says, blessings, great episode tonight. Thank you very much for that. I appreciate you all. Shout out to every single last one of y'all for the super chats and all that. I don't know why StreamYard is tripping. I cannot pull up my sound effects. I want to pull up my sound effects so damn bad. But StreamYard, I couldn't even pull up my images. That's why I'm really stuck with this one. I'm literally stuck with this one. I have more images, but I'm stuck. StreamYard is not letting me pull up my images for whatever reason, or my sound effects. So they tripping tonight, but it's okay. It's okay. I can't even, oh my God. They are really stuck on this. I'm really upset about that. Like, I'm like for real upset about that. I don't know why they doing that. But I ain't tripping on it. I'm not tripping. It is what it is. But what I need you guys to do, and hold on, actually, let me get to the Cash Apps as well, too. Because I can't ignore you guys for the Cash Apps, because you're also very generous and gracious for the Cash Apps. Let me get to that. See the name. I want to appreciate and give a shout out to Star. Thank you very much, Star, for your Cash App. I appreciate you, beloved. And Cash App to 400. Shout out to our sister Star, our beloved sister Star, and our brother 400. Appreciate y'all. StreamYard is tweaking right now. They like really, really tweaking. I cannot pull up my likes. You know, I have the little like thing on the side. I can't pull that up. I can't pull up some of my images. They got low. I don't know why. And I was able to do it earlier, but it froze on that setting. So I'm gonna have to message StreamYard or something like that. But it's fine. I ain't tripping on it. We ain't tripping. We ain't never tripping. We ain't never mad. We ain't never mad. Okay. Nor are we ever going out bad. But it's okay. It's okay. But let me say this, family, I appreciate you guys tremendously, sincerely. Even though I don't have the sound effects, I will give it to you guys next time. I want you guys to tune in this time tomorrow, because we got more Democrat shields that we got to get on. Okay? We got a whole bunch of tethers and Democrat shields that we got to call out, because that's what we do here. We call people out when they're a problem to the community. We always do. And with that being said, I would appreciate, before you guys leave, hit that like button. Everybody, let's hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button, and then leave a comment. Let me know, who do y'all think is worse between Roland Martin and Charlamagne? Who you guys think is a bigger shield? I think I already know your answer, but I still want y'all to leave the comment and let me know what you guys think about this. I guess shield on shield, Democrat shield on Democrat shield feud between the Roland and Charlamagne. Let me know what y'all think about that in the comment section. And with that being said, Black first to every single last one of you guys, of course. You all have a good one. I will see you guys later, and y'all stay blessed.